at the end of the day, remember, you come all the way here. So if they can't even, while they're in their jurisdiction, come here, but don't say that you're not still going to love them, but understand that they're on some level of bullshit, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we're right here.
But the one brother, he comes to the temple.
I've been up since 9. He's been up since probably 9. We're here. It's 3 hours just to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because this is what should be happening. We should be traveling all around all the time. But
Yeah.
what I'm saying for you guys in your own regency, just say to yourself, you know that something's up.
Man, I'll let them know, man.
Ain't nothing, no excuse. You got work, you better tell me coming in.
Like we started preparing from like
a
week ago.
Anyways, you know, remember this too. Proud also said, this is for the ones that are here. That's it.
Yeah.
This is for, really, this is for you.
Yeah.
So
That's when you started sticking like, yo, this is your innocent stuff. This is you.
yeah, this is it. And know this. You tried, right? You can't say when it comes down later, you can't say that I didn't tell you so, right? So at least you can look them in their face and say, I told you.
Yeah.
Man came out here twice. They didn't want to show up. That's on you. That's not on us anymore, right?
Yeah.
Watch,
I was telling him,
you can
if we don't
sleep
have at least 10 people that are not outside of our thing,
Yeah.
we shouldn't really make them come down because it like it
We're
doesn't
all right
look
with
good.
this.
Like,
Listen, I'm all right with this now because I'm not surprised anymore. The last time we came up, there was just 3. You remember there were only 3 of us, and 8 of us who came, right? We're like, but I'm all right because what I realized it just proves it again that it's really for us.
But they have no choice. Like we have to keep doing this.
Listen, here's what I want to say to us too. This is about now us circling the wagon and coming together and doing our stuff. And like, yes, we can keep bringing people because that's what problem one, but really, how do we keep moving? What are we going to do together? The ones that are strong. We were just building on this in the conveyance today. The ones that are strong, we start doing stuff. You know what I mean? Don't worry about them, and they'll come.
Yeah.
They'll come when they're getting lashings.
Yeah, pretty much.
And we might not have time for that.
Pretty much. Yeah. Well, let's just open up with the first.
Start it up, right?
Yes. 502 on the right. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide. And my salvation. By night. And by day. Through holy prophets. Through holy prophets. Love. All right. So we're here. I just want to start off with a couple things. Couple things just so we can know that when we talk about the fraud of I don't know.
Where's east that way? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this is south. Yeah, they're from here, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. All our jurisdictions. We want to make sure, right? That's east. We might have to do another one. Get it right. Go on.
So we came out here because we realized that Moors are waking up all over the place, you know, and we have to make sure that the family gets themselves, you know, in the right context, have things from the right perspective, because ultimately this is going to be, you know, like your jurisdiction to do whatever it is that you do. Same thing like what we did, you know, starting. I just want to read a quote from John F. Kennedy. This is an interesting number, 7 days before his assassination. There's a plot in this country to enslave every man, woman, and child. Before I leave this high and noble office, I intend to expose this plot. Okay, so JFK knew that something was about to go down, or something was going down. And if you go read a lot of his speeches and things like that, you realize that he wasn't speaking from a democracy perspective. He was speaking from the republic perspective, because as president, he knew that his oath was to enforce the Constitution of the United States of America, and that Article 4, Section 4 calls for a republican form of government, which is government that's run by the people, because republic comes from public, which comes from the people. So the same thing with the Moorish movement. It was set up so that when you proclaim your nationality, you have individuals that are qualified from a constitutional perspective that you can use as your buffer between you, the people, and the foreign colonizing force called U.S. or Canada or HamElton police or Toronto police or whatever, right? I want to also put on the record the position that the democracy order is taken, right? This is the position that the democracy order is taken. This is from the secret, well, this is from the book, The Old Pale Horse by William Cooper. If you're not familiar with William Cooper, get familiar, because he was assassinated for this book. Just like JFK was assassinated because there's a conspiracy that was going on. And as soon as you start exposing the conspiracy that's going on, you become public enemy number one immediately. Like, it's not even a question. As soon as you start talking about there's something called republic, when people have been saying democracy for the past, how many years, you become a threat, right? So this is out of the congressional record from 1916. Mr. Owen, I wish to put in the record the secret treaty of Verona of November 22nd, 1822, showing what this ancient conflict is between the rule of the few and the rule of the many. I wish to call the attention of the Senate to this treaty because it is the threat of this treaty which was the basis of the Monroe Doctrine. It throws a powerful white light upon the conflict between monarchical government and government by the people. The Holy Alliance, under the influence of Metternich, the Premier of Austria in 1822, issued this remarkable secret document. American Diplomatic Code, 1778 to 1884. The undersigned especially authorized to make some additions to the Treaty of the Holy Alliance after having exchanged their respective credentials have agreed as follows. Article 1. The high contracting powers being convinced that the system of representative government is equally as incompatible with the monarchical principles as the maxim of the sovereignty of the people with the divine right, engage mutually in the most solemn manner to use all their efforts to put an end to the system of representative government in whatever country it may exist in Europe, and to prevent its being introduced in those countries where it is not yet known. 2. It cannot be doubted that the liberty of the press is the most powerful means used by the pretended supporters of the rights of nations to the detriment of those princes. The high contracting parties promise reciprocally to adopt all proper measures to suppress it, not only in their own states, but also in the rest of Europe. Article 3. Convinced that the principles of religion contribute most powerfully to keep nations in a state of passive obedience, which they owe to their princes. The high contracting parties declare it to be their intention to sustain in their respective states those measures which the clergy may adopt, with the aim of ameliorating their own interests, so intimately connected with the preservation of the authority of the princes and the contracting powers, join in offering their thanks to the Pope for what he has already done for them, and solicit this constant cooperation in their views of submitting the nation. Article 4. The situation of Spain and Portugal. unite unhappily all the circumstances to which this treaty has particular reference. The high contracting parties, in confiding to France the care of putting an end to them, engage in assisting her in a manner which may least compromise them with their own people and the people of France by means of a subsidy on part of the two empires of 20 million francs each year from the date of the signature of this treaty to the end of the war. Article 5. In order to establish in the peninsula the order of things which existed before the revolution of Cadiz, and to ensure the entire execution of the articles of the present treaty, the high contracting parties give to each of their reciprocal assurance that as long as their views are not fulfilled, rejecting all other ideas of utility or other measures to be taken, they will address themselves with the shortest possible delay and all the authorities existing in their states and to all their agents in foreign countries with the view to establish connections tending toward the accomplishment of the objects proposed in this treaty. 6. That this treaty shall be renewed with such changes as new circumstances may give occasion for, either to a new Congress or at a court of one of the contracting parties as soon as the war with Spain shall be terminated. 7. This present treaty shall be ratified and the ratification exchanged at Paris within the space of 6 months. Made at Verona, the 22nd of November, 1822, for Austria, Metternich, for France, Chateaubriand, for Prussia, Bernstedt, for Russia, Nesserode. Mr. Owen, I asked to have printed in the congressional record this secret treaty because I think it is ought to be called out now to the attention of the people of the United States of the world. This evidence of the conflict between the rule of the few versus popular government should be emphasized in the minds of the people of the United States, that the conflict now waging throughout the world may be more clearly understood. For after all said, the great pending war springs from the weakness and frailty of the government by the few, where human errors is far more probable than the error of the many, where aggressive war is only permitted upon the authorizing vote of those whose lives are jeopardized in the trenches of modern war. Mr. President, I would like to have the senator state whether in that treaty there was not a coalition formed between the powerful countries of Europe to re-establish the sovereignty of Spain in the republics of South and Central America. I know, looking at what these colonizing forces are doing, having a meeting about jurisdictions across the Atlantic and what they're going to do in other lands where there's places called republics. And you know, that position of using religion, what we were saying is dogma, not really real religion, but using dogma to pacify the people, get the people to think that, outside themselves and think of everything exoteric as far as religion is concerned, not knowing that the people at the pulpit, the imam, the rabbi, the grand sheikh, the grand whoever, all these people are playing these people. And all those people who have some type of position as a head of whatever are more than likely siding with the people who set up the secret treaty of Verona, right? Now, as we spoke about with the conspiracy, right? A lot of things that William Cooper laid out in the book are things that Moore's been talking about, right? It's just that we use this as a reference because it's a European putting it up. And our people tend to listen to European more than they listen to anybody else, right? So also in this book is silent weapons for quiet wars, which the Moors know as King Alfred Plan. And what they outline, or what he outlines, the excerpt that he took from King Alfred plan to put in his book in chapter 1 is the table of strategy. Right? So in the table of strategies, it talks about it's not presented like this, but what he's really getting at is the natural law and the universal law dealing with the law of opposites, dealing with the law of contracts, offer and acceptance, right? Give and take, higher self, lower self, whatever, right? So in the table of strategies, do this to get this. Keep the public ignorant means less public organization. Maintain access to control points for feedback means required reaction to outputs. Create preoccupation makes lower defenses. Attack the family unit means you control the education of the young. Give less cash and more credit and doles means more self-indulgence and more data. Attack the privacy of the church. You destroy faith in this sort of government. Social conformity. Computer programming simplicity. Maximize the tax protests. You maximize economic data, minimum enforcement problems. Stabilize the consent. Use simplicity, coefficients. Tighten control of variables, causes simpler computer input data, greater predictability. Establish boundary conditions, creates the problem of simplicity and solutions of differential and different equations. Proper timing creates less data shifting and blurring. Maximize control means minimum resistance to control. Collapse the currency, destroy the faith of the American people in each other. And the other thing I wanted to read out of this was descriptive introduction of the silent weapon. Everything that is expected from an ordinary weapon is expected from a silent weapon by its creators, but only in its own manner of junctioning. It shoots situations instead of bullets, propelled by data processing instead of chemical reaction explosion, originating from bits of data instead of grains of gunpowder, from a computer instead of a gun, operated by a computer programmer instead of a marksman, under the orders of a banking magnate instead of a military general. It makes no obvious explosive noises, causes no obvious physical or mental injury, and does not obviously interfere with anyone's daily social life. Yet, it makes an unmistakable noise, causes unmistakable physical and mental damage, and unmistakably interferes with daily social life, i.e. unmistakable to the trained observer, one who knows what to look for. The public cannot comprehend this weapon, and therefore cannot believe that they are being attacked and subdued by a weapon. The public might instinctively feel that something is wrong, but because of the technical nature of the silent weapon, they cannot express their feelings in a rational way or handle the problem with intelligence. Therefore, they do not know how to cry for help and do not know how to associate with others to defend themselves against it. When a silent weapon is applied gradually, the public adjusts and adapts to its presence and learns to tolerate its encroachment on their lives until the pressure, psychological, becomes too great and they crack up. Therefore, the silent weapon is a type of biological warfare. It attacks the vitality options and mobility of the individuals of a society by knowing, understanding, manipulating, and attacking their sources of natural and social energy and their physical, mental, and emotional strengths and weaknesses. Today's silent weapon technology is an outgrowth of a simple idea discovered succinctly expressed, applied by the quoted Mr. Mayer Amschel Rothschild. Mr. Rothschild discovered the missing passive component of economic theory known as economic inductance. He, of course, did not think of his discovery in these 20th century terms, and to be sure, mathematical analysis had to wait for the second industrial revolution, the rise of the theory of mechanics and electronics, and finally the invention of the electronic computer before it could effectively be applied in the control of the world economy. So in this conspiracy that JFK was laying down, we're starting to understand as we study that, you know, we're born into something that we're not ever going to change. Like, we're not going to change out there. Whatever's going on there, that's what it's going to be. You know what I mean? Don't get excited when you hear people talk about off the grid and, you know what I mean? You know, systems gonna fall and all these things. Like, what they have out there existing is going to exist, and it's mainly going to exist because of the mentality of the people who think that they know or whatever like that. You know, think that the leaders that they have are really in their best interest when, you know, they're not in their best interest. Mistaking people who they know colonize different land masses or whatever like that, mistaking them as the government, mistaking them as the authority, mistaking them as, you know, the president, whatever like that, of countries when they're just corporate beings, right? And, you know, our position is to make sure that we set up things so that the children don't have to deal with what we're dealing with right now. You know what I mean? So once they get this information and it vibrates with them, it's just like a sister called me today that she was listening to her son and another little brother have a conversation over it, right? She's on the science, gives it to the child or whatever like that, and then, you know, other little brother, he's not whatever, right? So they're going back and forth about something or whatever like that. And the little brother more asked the other brother, you know, black. Or he said that he's black or something like that. And the brother's like, no, you're not black or whatever. You know what I mean? And the guy's like, oh yeah, I'm black. You know what I mean? I'm African American, whatever, blah, blah, you know, going with the conditioning that he was taught at home, school or whatever, right? So little brother goes, little brother tells him, no, you're not black. You can't be black. Are you a slave? Then, you know, brother's like, no, not a slave. Well, all right, if you're not a slave, then obviously you're not black. This is what the little brother said to the other brother, right? So then the mom comes in now and she's kind of breaking it down at the level of, okay, you know, what color are your shoes or whatever? You know what I mean? They're black. What color are you or whatever? And he's like, I guess I'm not black or whatever, you know? And you're right. So once we start giving it to them at a young age where they still have, you know, their mental wires connected, you know what I mean? They have common sense still. You can give them certain information that, you know, they actually stop saying, oh yeah, you know, actually, yeah, for real, or yeah, or no, or whatever like that. They might not know exactly what it is that we're talking about, but conceptually, they would know that, okay, there's something different. You know what I mean? There's something that you know, I wasn't considering. You know what I mean? So as we get more into seeing this information as our information, and not only that it's ours, but it's everybody else's too, and that we have to share it, then we do like what y'all did. Okay, we got this space or whatever like that. We got a flyer. We're gonna have, want everybody to come on down and get some information. And then you realize that, not everybody who claims to be down with learning info or whatever is not there. And they might not be there because, they're just not interested. But like we were talking about, the majority of people is because of pride, that they don't want to admit that they're wrong. They don't want to admit that they've been studying the wrong thing for 10 years, 15 years, telling people or whatever, going and giving up flyers and putting their heart, their mind, body, soul on the line for this thing that comes out in right? Any comments or anything? Questions or anything like that? As of right now? So what we have to do is make sure that we have to make sure that we introduce at all times noble duality to the people, because the position that he took was redeem his people. He didn't take the position of keep this for himself and not let anybody know. He took the position of, if I have information, I have a duty to let my people know what he knows, right? Because he wanted everybody to be adepts. He wanted everybody to have a clear mind as to the conspiracy that's going on, right? That there's nothing secretive about this. Like how people talk about the Moors, or when they see the Moors, it's like they're Masons or not wine or whatever like that. When that's not what this is. And people have pushed this as that, which is why people have this misconcept that this is not their stuff. That, this is like we're saying, what everybody thinks the Moors are just another group of black guys with some organization to, tell people something, like everybody else out here. But everybody else out here is not, they don't got a nationality card. Everybody else here doesn't not pay taxes. Everybody else out here, when they get tickets, they pay them. They don't fight them. Right? Right. Right.
With any other source, any other establishment, you're using the name on
the birth certificate or social or license or whatever. Right? And then when challenged, like we say, we made this little thing of a brother getting arrested by policy enforcement. And the caption of the video of the picture says, that's not the name that you have on your social networks or whatever, right? Because if you're not going to take the position of correcting what you know is wrong, right? Like we know that as so-called Negro, black, colored people, we got labeled with the European name, and more than likely, the name that we have is slave master's name. That was the master that was in charge of our family for generations and generations coming out of slavery or whatever like that. All right, so slavery's been done for 200 years. And then we still have the name that the slave master gave us, or that had us on the plantation, and we're not even thinking in our mind that we should go change that. Let go of it, right?
That's like they promote the black power is black, the so-called white power, or like trying to separate themselves.
Yeah.
So they're still carrying the name.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
it's redundant.
Right. Right. And it shows also too the hypocrisy of our people. You know what I mean? Which we have to get out of victimizing ourselves and then blaming somebody. Because we're in constant attack on somebody else did something to us. Well, yeah, those guys did whatever. Something in the closet gonna get me in the nighttime. Something's under my bed. Something, whatever. Police did it. White man did it. My boss did it. And then nobody's not looking at themselves and realize that they're the ones that are there. Right? So Noble Jawali came and outlined all of the errors that we were doing and what we have to do to correct these errors, right? So this is divine warning by the prophet for the nation. The citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all of one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirable and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow on them. Right? So, right in the beginning, he's letting us know that if you're a citizen, then you should have a free national name. If you have a free national name, then you're tied to the constitutional jurisdiction. If you don't have a free national name, then you're classed as undesirable, right? So when you look at our people, all our people who are labeled with, Smith, Johnson, Jones, whatever, all these names that came from slave master, right? They're classed as undesirable and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatment that the citizens care to bestow on them. So when you look at, skinhead, they're party citizen of something, right? Whether it's corporate or whatever is irrelevant, right? The point of the matter is that our position as having an inferior name is what lets people do what they do to us. It's the fact that we call ourselves Negro, black, colored is why people do what they do to us. It's because of the fact that we have a name that's not ours why people do stuff to us. It's not because someone has some superior power over us because they're in some seat of government or whatever like that, blah, blah. The reality of the situation is that if we call ourselves something that's inferior, then the treatment that we're going to get is going to be inferior. That's just what it is, right? It is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that allude to slavery. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers' divine and national principles, that they will be law-abiders and receive their divine right as citizens, according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. And through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, that they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government and not under a granted privilege that has been the existing condition for many generations. You who doubt, so this is for all the people now that heard about Noble Jawali, and then they said, man, whatever, Elijah Muhammad, Fard Muhammad, whatever, they're going to follow all them people, opposed to getting down with really what they're supposed to be down with, right? So you who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption of my people, go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone, and they will be glad to render you a favorable reply, for they are glad to see me bring you out of darkness into light.
Excuse me. Just wondering about you stream this, but I think you
Yeah, it's true on YouTube.
that whole group.
Yeah. Yeah, it's on, yeah, just, or you can just take the questions from right there and then just ask them for them or whatever, if they got questions.
Can they watch it?
Yeah, just, they gotta go on YouTube. Yeah. It's on the Canaanland Moors YouTube channel.
Well, you can actually access it through YouTube.
Yeah.
Because I always go on Ustream.
Yeah, that's,
And
we
we have a
use
little bit of
Ustream, yeah,
problems.
we use Ustream, but,
Yeah.
we're using YouTube today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we usually use the Ustream.
You guys can help yourselves.
No, I got a little something. Right, so so now we use, once again, we use Brother Supreme as an example, right? That he wasn't in doubt, but he recognized the redemption that Noble Drew Ali brought for him in a different school of thought, right? That is, conceptually taught that there's no time. But then when you go into the lesson, you find out that they have a call and response in their lesson, where you get a question and then you get an answer. That same thing that Noble Drew Ali did in the one-on-one question, same thing. It's called catechism, right? Where it's supposed to get everybody on the same frequency. Nobody's not gonna, everybody has the same question and the same answer, so there's gonna be no dispute from anybody. It's just gonna be a standard lesson which creates a frequency, creates a vibration, right? The symbology, right? They got a 7 in a circle that appears to be a star. They call it whatever they want, but that's circle 7, right?
And then the star.
Right, and then the thing with the name, where you come in as a John or whatever like that, and you get Supreme whatever. Okay, that's nationality proclamation. They might not have El or Bay on the concept is get out of slavery using the European name that you've been branded with, and get yourself back into free status.
And we need to go to things. So there's a free mathematics, free alphabet, right? Like if you're gonna choose whatever application attribute you're going to choose has to be out of supreme mathematics or supreme alphabets for the combination of the both. It's just like saying choose L or B.
Right.
You know what I mean? But they kind of broaden it.
Right, yeah, it's broaden it.
But it's the same thing.
Right.
But I also realize that what this is all about the truth, which never changes.
Right.
And then personal pride and vanity coming in and perverting
The murky ethers.
perverting it to what it is. And that is why we were all, remember I was telling you that if you're even an inch off the path, and you're miles off the path.
And that's what I realized is that there's the same information. We took it, they left out nationality.
Right.
So all that means nothing if at the end of the day, like I said, you go before justice of the peace, you go before a policy enforcer, it's still John Doe.
Yeah.
Well, and then ultimately what you realize is that all of this stuff was fine, things were equal.
Right.
Yeah, but what the prophet brought us for was to answer this.
Right.
This would be okay if we were all Moors, and then when clubism, you have your Supreme go
Yeah,
here, go over there, everyone can do what they
Do
want.
what you want, 'cause we're all Moors, yeah.
But this has been, this is at the core of everything. Because really, our problem still isn't in our own community, but it really is with the colonizer who's really on us. And that really should have been what this was in response to.
Right.
So that is where the real problem is. As you say, you're still going to be drawn up. Who cares what's going on with your group?
Yeah, exactly. When it's time to unite, it's ready to go.
Right. Because if we look at, again, we use when we look at the situation, right? Because of the brothers studying jurisprudence for himself, because it's his stuff, he was able to cast aside that nation of gods and earths or whatever, or father or law or whatever like that. All that's irrelevant when it comes down to facing these colonizers. They don't care what school of thought you belong to or whatever. They care, are you a national or are you property? If you're property, then we have our codes, whatever that we created, and that we'll use those against you. If you are claiming to be something other than property, then we don't really have jurisdiction over you in the way that it appears to people who are ignorant of this, right?
I was just going to say that ultimately you realize that any of the stuff from God's on Bible, whatever that stuff is, that's all fine, but what they have really done is they've done a disservice, because ultimately it's contract, which is what we're all involved in,
Right.
and that is then, and law is then the manifestation of that. So if they're not on that tip, then they've really done a disservice, because now all that stuff is sort of religion stuff, what you can do in your school. But when it comes down to two men on the street doing me punching you, you punching me, it's the contract and law that has to do that. So if they haven't addressed that, and they've really left the most important thing out. Right? And all that other stuff in your mind is all right. You can do whatever you want in your mind.
But because it's even more apparent, it's like just in the service, because it's like you have all these people who are in the nation, or all these people who are 5%, right? And all these people are they're getting what do you think is science, right? But they're missing the real part. None of them are getting it. None of them they're getting science. But I'm saying, like I said, you can't utilize this on a daily basis. You can't.
You don't utilize it in your little.
When we come together. Yeah, when we come into the little cycle, we're building.
Right.
Yo, that brother, he understands the lesson. He's breaking down. He's on. You know what I mean? The high levels. And as soon as you get out of that circle, you need nothing. Really, when it comes to society, you need nothing. You can't go to the justice of the peace and be like, yo, I'm 5%er, I'm this and I'm that, and you can't tell me nothing. Yeah. And on top of that, these brothers are learning about paperwork, right? In any form, in any degree. Yeah.
Which again goes back to what I was saying, which is all about contract. Whatever the contracts which you've been put into either by your parents or the ones that you sign willingly, driver's license and all the rest of that stuff. It puts them in control of it, because they've created that, right?
Contract.
And then, sorry, the last part of it all, which you were mentioning before, is the fact that for whatever reason, and this is the human condition, no one wants to see you. If I've taught you how to run, and then you figure out how to fly, I don't want to allow you to fly because I didn't teach you how to fly. And I'm mad now that you're flying. And actually, I want to kill you because you're flying. And actually, you need to get out of my group because you're flying. So I realize that that's the next part of it, which is really, like if someone were to come and say, look, I know how to do this, we should embrace you. Right. And we should then incorporate that rather than say, you need to be sanctioned, you need to be, you know what I mean? At that point, you become the enemy. And so that, to me, is really, I think that's a standard that you can judge things by. If anyone could walk down these stairs right now and say something to Cujo, that would then make Cujo say, wow, okay. Cujo would incorporate that. What you realize with 90% of these organizations or groups, they can't allow that because then they lose their position.
Exactly, and I seen a really, really good video. I remember we posted it on Facebook when Tupac was talking to an interviewer, right? And obviously, in the jail, there's a lot of 5%ers, a lot of Nation of Islam. And Tupac was saying, like, he's like, yo, he was in the cell building with a 5%er. The 5%er, like, yo, saying, like, yeah, the black man is God, we this, we this. And Tupac was like, listen, if you teach me that we God, he's like, unlock these doors right now. He's like, yo, if you unlock these doors and get me out of here right now, I'll be a 5%er for life.
Didn't happen.
Didn't happen. So, you know what I mean? But I took it on a deeper level than that, because once you get into the Moors, we have keys that unlock certain doors. It'll keep you out of those prisons. So he's saying unlock it, but like obviously people think like the physical key, but that key can be anything.
No, and I agree.
Now that you know that, I know how to get out of it. You know what I mean? And he was saying like, yo, unlock these doors, I'll be a 5% for life. Right? Get me out these doors, you know what I mean?
And even on that level, like if that perspective, right? I'll be down with this for life if you whatever. The fact that they haven't done it, everybody should be leaving that. Yo, it's not working. It's not working. Obviously, you're not God, right? You know, obviously, right? money doesn't make the man. It is, and then also too, you know, for online people and whatever else, you know, the 11 people that are online, we also want to put that it's not a diss, because he's nation of gods and earths or whatever. So don't think, you know, oh yeah, you know, who's just talking fashion or whatever. No, he's done with the stuff, right? It's not that we're attacking. We want to bring clarity so that people who have common sense that are in nation of gods and earths could hear another nation of gods and earths say, well, yo, I'm LB or whatever, I go to court, beat them up, whatever like that, and you know, I'm still, you know, I mean, who I am, right? Don't get mad, you know what I mean? Don't get mad. Realize that we've been missing some things, and people who have been teaching us have purposely not been teaching us about individuality, our nationality, our birthright. You know, whether it's Rastafari school, Nation of Islam school, Kemetic school, whatever, they're not teaching the nationality aspect. And that's the only salvation in this day and time that we have now, because with this corporate thing going on all across the planet, the only thing that's saving anybody else out there is the fact that they're national. The only thing that saved Greece from going into bankruptcy was because all the people said, hey, you know, we're not taking no bailout packages because we already know what's coming down when we take a bailout package. So you government officials aren't going to accept any type of bailout. We'll deal with whatever we got to deal with. We'll take the hit, opposed to take the 80 million to get out of some debt. Now we know, now you're coming at us for the 80 million or whatever because, you know, we hired you and, you know, you said that you're going to whatever.
So, just some of the few things that we were talking about, but what I realized is that what we're bringing, that's why the prophet, certain things that he said, I realized is so key. What he was saying, same way the nation of God and earth are bringing you into your God state, what Jolie said is, I'm bringing you into your God state through love, through truth, through peace, through freedom, and justice. And if any of these groups were about those things, which they really haven't been, though they're talking about stuff, but really that's why those 5 principles. Because remember, HamElton said it, that those principles were the principles of Allah, right? The principle of love would incorporate all of that. The principle of truth would incorporate all of that. The principle of peace, of freedom, and then justice would incorporate. What you realize is that you're taking portions of these things and not taking the main things, and that's why the prophet is the prophet, because those things that he brings, if we apply those principles to the activity, then we become that. That would be the true God, not the God that they're trying to get you to be, which is on some stuff. So you realize they're giving you, you know, it's like they're giving you the ingredients to the stuff, but then they're not giving you the oven or the recipe. Like they're giving you part of it, which you're like, wow, this is great, but then you can't create anything out of it. It's really madness.
It is. I mean, right now it is. It's crazy.
And contract, like, it directs every part of our life. Yeah. We're signing contracts now.
Every day.
Even right now, there's
a contract in this room.
Talking to your friend, talking to your contract. You're going through the life and you don't learn these things and your birthrights, you're just, like we have been doing, signing away, getting driver's licenses and everything like that. So,
and it's in straight contradiction to what they're teaching.
Right.
What they're doing and what they're teaching is contradicting each other. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? Because you want to say, yo, the black man is God. You want to say that, but you're subservient to the system. Yes. It's contradicting. Everything's contradicting.
But then on top of that, what you're bringing up too, which is what we all talk about, what you were talking about, supreme mathematics, and the supreme what? Alphabet. That we're talking about with language. So when you use the language of black, all of that language itself, there's spells and energy as well. So the use of the word black, crazy, it sort of folds in on itself. And what I realized too, just came to me now, is that this is what's creating the psychopathic behavior. Because even the ones who are in it, in the so-called Nation of Islam and the 5%ers, they're even more messed up. Because they're fractured, because they're getting half of it, and then but it's not coinciding with the other half. And I said this to a couple of people, this was due to some other stuff, it's almost better to be done. Because then you can follow it, because it gets information easier. Well, yeah, and you can be told to do something, and then you follow it. There's a big problem to that. There's a big problem to that. But what I realized, they have to say, Kenneth said it, and I get confident, he says, it's better to be born behind than ahead. Yeah. Because when you're ahead, it's just the shit you're dealing with. Right. And just make one point, because I don't want to stray away from what's going on. No. And I'm telling you, this is why it comes to you. So you have to speak on it. Like I said, I've been in the 5, 7, 10 years, right? Study. I'm talking study, right? Dome these lessons. I can recite them, right? Off my dome without looking at the piece of paper. I come into this situation. I do the etymology of black. Right? Look how crazy this is. Do the etymology of black is pale, void of color, albino. And I'm telling you, so this is the etymology of black. Basically means pale. You know what I mean? And they're saying, this is what we say every day, the black man is God. So we're saying the black man is God. With the etymology of black, it says pale. So basically what's going on is we're running around saying the pale man is God. That was, but this, we already knew that was all part of, that's what was going on. And then watch this, on the reverse side, we're saying white man is God. But then we're really the white man, but we're giving them the title of white. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. But wait a minute. So now that you're on that point, because I want you to realize that this is part of it. And this is the part that I realize is very, very damaging. My emphasis on offspring, we were at the last year of their so-called grade 6, they decided to go play. Guess what they're playing? Wizard of Oz. Of course, they have them training for the Wizard of Oz and singing all these songs. And right now the play's over, but she's still singing these blinking songs, and I've been trying to get her to stop. But what I realized what part of this is, and the same part that you were talking about, is the fact that when you decide to take on something, you're studying something, it's the wrong thing, it then becomes a part of it, and then it becomes even harder to break. And that's what part of the indoctrination and all the training and the conditioning, that's all part of it. Because if you could wake up on any given day and be an open slate. That's why I talked about being dumb in that sense. That you could then undertake becoming great. But if you have all of these other things that hold you to this position, all this conditioning, you've got that to overcome, which is really your lower self. But I had to lose common sense for 10 years, man. No, yeah. But that's in your previous realm. This is part of the process. That's why you're here. You're not here. The prophet said, I was just reading his statements. I'll get this. He said, the people who were with me 2,000 years ago are with me today. So remember this. You were also there.
With the brainwash and everything that was going on.
You were with him then. You were with him. Same with you. We are here for a purpose. And that's what we have to start to understand. That's why I say that's where some of I think it is too, where we get caught up trying to bring people in. Let's try to raise ourselves. Yeah. We can bring those people in, but don't waste your time too much, because that's part of the diversion too. Yeah. You having to fight to bring some man in.
You're not focusing on yourself. Yeah. You're trying to get. Yeah.
No, and that's where I see the thing too. It's like man's drowning, you're drowning. You're busy trying to save him from drowning. Meanwhile, you're still drowning. Pull yourself out, and that's why they say demonstrate, right? That's why the Quran, when you realize, he says a block of wood can point the way. Yeah. You have to walk the way, and then everyone's going to say, "Wow, that man learned how to fly."
When in reality, you just saw that sign right there and just went the direction the sign was pointing. That's it.
That's what I'm saying with these brothers, man. Like I don't know, man. It's like I said, like when I hear that now, it's like the black. It's like I can't hear nothing. Yeah.
Every time you see the word, it
irritates
you. I went on Facebook and I'm like, I have to come out of all
everybody, because all of them.
Even with the word queen, once you learn the etymology of the word, you cannot use it anymore. Like that word humble drives me nuts now, because a mother should only be humble to her child. That's the only time your needs should become before someone else's, and that's a baby. After that, your needs cannot come underneath somebody else's. Your needs have to come first before you can. So that word humble is really.
Right. Watch the word kid though too. Remember?
Oh yeah, because they're goats.
And watch one of the
it's hard to get it out. You'll get it out eventually.
It's just training here. But also remember this too. because I'm fighting off, because I've been watching a lot of the so-called European colonial. Just watch the language they use. Robert said, watch. There'll be times when they'll talk about kids, there'll be times when they'll talk about children.
Yeah.
Be very conscious of when they're using that. They'll be conscious of when they're saying United States and when they're saying U.S. Conscious of those things, because that all to me really relates to all of that science too, right? They're saying a lot of the times when it's the U.S. soldiers, that's the corporation. When they're talking about the United States, that's the land. And they're making those little subtleties, right? If you don't pick up on them, then you connect it to it. That's what they've been doing. And then once you made that contract, they're the same, then give them the power.
Was there any questions immediately, bro? Any questions?
I didn't.
Yeah, I think.
Let me check. I have a question myself.
Yes.
I have like a lot of questions myself.
Yeah. Oh yeah, let me just put out there. So you're gonna do your research. It's online. A divine warning by the prophet for the nation. And you just read through that, and it'll give you a good breakdown as to where Noble Drawley was going. You know what I mean? What the origin was there. Right? No, I'm ready for the question. You could shoot some of those up.
All right. Can you say that again?
The divine warning by the prophet for the nation.
I want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
What's the it's kind of a little bit confusing with the clock of destiny and what you're saying.
Yeah.
The rest of the Moorish nation.
Right. Clock of Destiny was founded by Charles Mosley Bay.
Yeah.
And the reason why, from our position, the reason why he started Clock of Destiny was because of the sellout in the temple and them hiding certain stuff, not giving people access to information openly and freely. So he set up Clock of Destiny, and he set up Clock of Destiny nationality card, Clock of Destiny constitution called Zodiac Constitution, and the books Clock of Destiny 1 and 2, and Circle of Life, right? Dealing with the Zodiac and stuff like that. And then he took those and then he filed them in the Library of Congress, so anybody can have access to it at any time. You just call the Library of Congress and you get the stuff, right? What has happened is that people who are in positions of power, whether it's, let's just say in the Moorish movement, right? People who are in a position of power have taken the position of, these Moors over here, and then these Moors over here, and then those Moors back there, and then those Moors over there, you have to those Moors because they're, when you check it out, all of them got feathers on. All of them have nationality cards. All of them recognize Noble Drawley, the prophet. All of them have, Moorish American prayer. All of them recognize the covenant of the Asiatic nation. But they're going to say that there's all these separate whatever. So you realize that there's new people coming in have to do damage control, because you're not going to not because somebody has a sign that says Moorish Temple means that they're down with what's going on. I mean, majority of people who are talking from the perspective like how you're saying, it's confusing which one is whatever, right? It's because it's not being presented as what it is. You know what I mean? Like your Clock of Destiny, you don't have to be part of whatever, because Clock of Destiny deals with the Zodiac, which you got day that you came on the earth plane, and then you have a sign that's tied in that circle or whatever that CFP is talking about, then you're a clock. And as soon as somebody starts saying, well, no, you can't do whatever because that's our little group, then you realize that, oh yeah, that's you guys' little group. Go over there and be your group. But you can't tell me that I'm not Clock of Destiny and I'm not tied to the Zodiac Constitution when You could go online and read that stuff yourself to see that CMA didn't sanction and didn't say people can't belong or not. So you have to do this, do that, or whatever. Right?
But from the website, what they're saying, you have to be like good behaved citizen.
Right.
Right? Like, only a certain amount of people is allowed to join.
Right.
And if you have like a bad past, a criminal record, or whatever, you cannot be a member.
Right. So code word. You know what I mean? If somebody says that they're more and they're saying join our whatever, that has nothing to do with nation. That's talking about specific group, nation, incorporation, whatever. That's not more as North America, South America, Central America, you're joining out into whatever. That's a little group of individuals. As soon as they say join, that's their perspective where they're going. So those are people that you want to even whatever. You know, they're putting out information, get whatever information that you can get. You know what I mean? Verify it, cross-reference or whatever like that. But don't join them. As soon as you join them, now they got, claws in your back dragging you around.
It's kind of like what you're
The whole time, right? Which is why a lot of people divert from the Moorish movement.
Yeah.
Because as soon as they realize, oh, I'm not black, okay, I'm a Moor, I'm going to go join the temple, and then they go to the temple, then they got individuals tell them to join.
So people do.
And they're like, I'm not joining nothing, you know what I mean? I'm just going to be, atheist or whatever. I'm not going to have no ties to anything. When it's not supposed to be like that. You should have a tie to something, but, what's the in what context are you tied? Are you tied because you're bound mentally, because there's a cord that's attached to you, to that guy, and then there's a cord that attached him to him, and a cord that attached him to him, that attached to him, or whatever, attached to all these other Moors, and we have a certain mindset? Or are you bound because you filled out or something like that, signed it, submitted it, and they gave you something, and now you're like, yeah, now I'm part of whatever, right? So it's really about looking for, because we can put it out there, but people are going to get games still because, just like the democracy, dirty more people who have been doing nothing with this, they're not going in. If more haven't done nothing for 100 years, in 101 years, don't expect nothing from them. Because 100 years they haven't done nothing. So don't think that they're going to start doing something now just because, somebody called them out or said, just like with Nation of Gods and Earth. You know what I mean? They're going to call themselves nation. They're not no nation. They're a group organization or whatever like that. They're registered or whatever. So obviously, you're not a nation. But, they're going to still say they're a nation. All right, cool. You can say whatever you want, but don't try to, muddy the water. It is what it is. You know what I mean? If Samir Bay always talks about a reference of, in order to condemn a dirty glass, just put a clean one next to it. Wow. Right? You don't have to debate what made it dirty. Just put a clean glass next to it. And then it's clear which one is which one. Right? So that's what we do with noble duality. Anybody says whatever, that their stuff is whatever, all right, well, put nationality next to what you say. Okay, well, now what you say? Oh, you're still going to not get down with nationality? Clearly, it's when we look at all other people, we say Chinese people, right? Chinese people span the globe, right? They live in all different countries or whatever. They have a specific jurisdiction where they live at, right? So in their specific jurisdiction, they got Buddhists, Christian, whatever, Muslims, whatever.
Yeah.
But they're all Chinese at the end of the day, and none of them are going to say, I'm not Chinese to be Muslim. Or I'm not Chinese to be Christian.
And they always keep their names, no matter where they go.
And more than that, they're not going to call them something.
Right, that too.
So if it only the set of names like they and those names.
Yeah.
Why those names and not other African names? Like
Well,
the other day I was listening to you at the stream where you were talking about Emmanuel and how his name changed.
right. Right.
So would that be a good thing, or for example, even Muta? I don't know if you listen. You know, he changed his name from whatever it was to Muta Baruch, and that's his.
Right. That's the name that he goes by.
Even Emmanuel ended up.
Yeah. That's the reason why I brought up Emmanuel.
Yeah. I never even really.
Yeah, that's why I use that as an example.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? To show that even spiritually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Charles Edwards was on a different frequency. That you pick that name. Because he could have picked any name. There could be any name that you picked.
Yeah, true. But even when since I started learning about this, when I was in Jamaica, I didn't really pay too much attention to that part.
Yeah. Right.
But still, I see a lot of what they were saying and what they were doing. I still see in this because I don't know how much about it, but I always talk about the language and how they should use
certain words. Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
Right.
But it does seem that they got so much fight that it's like Jamaica is a Christian
dominated.
Yeah. So a lot of people with their Christianity move to Rastafarian, but they still hold on to the Christian doctrine.
Yeah.
So people got a lot of misunderstanding of what was said.
Right.
But in truth, it wasn't really anything about Christianity. It was more like about what the Lord.
Right. Yeah.
You know what's interesting though about Jamaica? Yeah. You have the Rasta.
Yeah.
They won't touch the Maroon.
Yeah.
The Maroon self-governed.
Yeah. But you know what? I was watching this thing with Umar Johnson, and he was talking about it. Went out to the same place they're talking about.
Yeah.
And they're saying those people don't pay taxes. But you know what? In Jamaica, everybody pays tax. You might not pay your land tax, but there are other taxes like when you buy food and stuff like that. They don't have a proper system in place. If you go to the store, you don't get like a tax exemption.
Right.
It's just dealing with cash.
Yeah, but so even on the level too, though, that remember that the rules are also tied to the land.
Yeah.
So majority of the things that they buy really, it's really coming from their own. They're not really going to the store to buy like that.
Well, you know what?
Level,
like maybe back in the days, but now that's everybody in Jamaica. They just want to be European.
Right.
It's not so strong. And
right.
Even Rastafarians at one point, Rastaman would
Now
Rasta he would just grate everything you know what I mean? But no, everybody want to be modernized.
And I mean it's also too, sign of times too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because if we kept up those things that we were doing from a natural perspective, right? It would be easier now. You know what I'm saying? Like if like for example, grader or whatever, right? Everybody got food processor now.
Yeah, so nobody want to do that.
You can't even go out and buy a grader right now. You know what I'm saying? You might be able to get one, but
or probably make one.
Or make one or whatever, but reality, nobody's not really gonna because for expediency, it's a food processor.
But I'm just showing you how a lot of things is kind of being
push away, and that's part of the issue with Noble Drew Ali and making sure that we look at what he presented, because a lot of going back to the ancient forefathers mindset, which is for us to bring back a lot of it. I mean, the idea is for us to go back and use graders again, even though we have a food processor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Not to throw out the baby with the bathwater, but find a middle ground where we can, work with everything that we have.
And the main reason for these things is kind of like everybody's busy these days.
Right.
I find that even with work, it's also a system that's in place to busy. You don't have enough time to study. Like me, I work 12 hours. I work like 2 days, 12 hours. And I say, all right, I'm off tomorrow for 2 days. I'm gonna have enough time to study. So when I come home, I sleep for a whole day. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you have other stuff. You barely have time to study.
Society puts you in a position where it's just like,
They know what they're doing.
It's just reading from preoccupation, all kinds of other stuff.
Yeah.
So we have to, I mean, that's the next step. We have to understand that we have to move the system. It's not going to happen overnight. Start to.
Yeah, you have to do
We have to start. The first step is realization. Once you can realize what the problem is, you can do something about it.
Do something.
99% of us don't even realize that
there's a problem.
there's a problem, or realize a wrong problem, and then they don't even realize what the problem is.
you hit the nail on the head, because I'm in the same process. I'm running my business, but it's like, you're trying to pull yourself, like, me personally, I'm like, okay, well, I gotta run my business. I gotta run my company.
That's what whether it's for a European family or for yourself,
family needs to
you gotta do it.
License.
License
License needs to stay on.
Right.
So I gotta study. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're in that position. You're like, man, I gotta find a way to navigate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Still do what's necessary.
Yeah.
Leave yourself enough room to study.
Because I don't fight, because sometimes when you're reading a book and I find myself sleeping. Like,
It's finding that balance. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know what you're saying.
And again, you know, it's something that, you know, everyone says, it's not something that, you know, overnight we're gonna get out of it. I mean, like, we've been so out the loop, right? That us coming into the loop now is, you know what I mean? Like, it's like a revolving door going like this, you know? Try to find a gap. The door will hit you sometimes. You know what I mean? It's just making sure that when you get hit, you know, you don't get your neck broke or whatever like that when this door is going around. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, as we get information, we learn to accommodate this illusion. You know, because it's really an illusion.
Yeah,
you know, like, yeah, it's you know, yeah, we got 12-hour shift, but you know, I know that when you get on that shift, there's times when, you know, time doesn't exist. There's times when, you know, time speeds. Sometimes you look at your clock and you look at your clock and you're like, 2 hours left, like, oh, yes, almost out of here, or whatever. That's because of, you know what I mean? The changing the mentality is going to change what we see outside of ourselves. Outside of ourselves is really an illusion. Yeah, it's really an illusion. What we see is really not what we think it is.
And you get to work at 9, you think 2 hours gone by, you look down, it's 9:15. What's going on here? So that is the part that when we're talking about, is absolutely right. That's what we get out of. That's what I started to do. I think this even came from listening to you too, which is that I can understand this. They call it a job. That's targeting to the fact that it's towards slavery, but it's really working towards something.
Right.
I'm working towards something. They have to work at this right now.
Right.
So this is part of the task
Yeah.
that I'm working at, not a job.
Yeah.
Working at,
Perspective.
working at to get there. So I'm not gonna complain anymore. I'm gonna know that I got to get to 6 p.m. and that's what I got to do.
Yeah,
Right? So I try to change that. That's where I think it starts to.
So, I don't know if you want me to read, like,
Yeah, sure.
I'll just speak on the etymology part that told us that we need to start studying on. It says, thoroughly read, analyze, and etymology study. In word and in law. Prophet Nawudra leads the final word by prophet for the nations. The prophet makes plea to the nation. The Moors leaders' historical message to America. Therein, unreadingly, you will be informed of the Moors'
Moors instructed and directed and to the true purpose of the mission, and given a solid foundation upon which to base your studies, your actions, your dedication, and your associations, with a clear understanding that the Moors movement in North America is a great legacy left to us by our prophet. You will recognize that the movement belongs to we the people. With a solid background knowledge of the above stated literature, your acts, your obligations, and connections to Moors divine national movement, and to the great humanitarian cause, honorable Moors pledged their allegiance, peace, prosperity, and progress. So I'm going to add.
Well, I want to read Prophet Speak to the Nation. Our divine and national movement stands for the specific grand principles of love, freedom, and justice. And I, the prophet, am applying to all loyal, faithful Moors, members, and the American citizens to help me in my great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation, for I have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding what the movement was dedicated to. It is the great God, Allah alone, that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I, all true American citizens, are identified by national descent names to answer and apply to the free national constitution of this free national republic of the United States of America. That's why I am calling on all true national citizens to help me morally and financially in my great work I am doing to help this national government. For without a free national name, without the descent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national divine title of the government in which you live. This is from your true and divine prophet unto all American and foreign sympathizers. So in the early on, he said that he's applying to loyal, faithful Moors, members, and American citizens.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So since the prophet brought us our nation and he brought us our nationality to understand the literature, right, that we're under, right? Are we, because like we're getting stuck with the sovereignty thing, right?
Right.
Are we sovereign sheep, or are we supposed to understand that we are citizens of our organization?
As through proclaiming our nationality, we get that nation. The nation is sovereign. Individuals are sovereign. Right? The individuals are nationals, and they exercise their sovereignty because they're tied to a nation, not because they know about sovereignty. Right?
Sovereignty is the activity.
Sovereignty would be the activity, the exercise. So,
What would be the manifestation of sovereignty? Would be the result of your
the result of your
national nationality, come to the nation, right? That's right. So, keeping a national is tying to the nation, tying to the mother.
Right.
So sovereignty is is the result of your nationality from your nation. That says you can't have sovereignty without the nation. You can't be sovereign without having a nation.
Right.
That's right. And that's what the Europeans.
That's why
they have this problem. Right. They're claiming to be sovereign but have no nation. And they're trying to tie themselves back to that because they know they're in trouble now. And that's what's allowing yet again. Because remember, this master manipulator is always working this. So once I'm out here saying that this is red, it's really red, then they don't really want to deal with that. But if the next man comes up and he says, "Oh, well, I'm red," he's really dealing with something that's orange. Then what they do is every time a man comes up and says, "I'm red," that's why they're tying you, i.e., to free men on the land. And stuff like that. Oh, so you're saying you're, no, then you really must be talking about this. And that's how they tie you into the fraud.
Yep. Right about that. 100% true. Every time I encounter these policy forces, all I hear is free men on the land.
And that's where they want you. Because they can't even deal with you. You can talk about the next thing.
That, yeah. And everybody figure out to stop our
And
own
then the last thing
land.
to all of us, and I think we already know this, just remember this, right? The policy enforcer that you need on the screen, he's the dumbest guy in the
Yeah,
whole
he's not-
operation.
he's
So
not.
the last thing you should be doing is ever trying to build with that guy, unless you get a sense that he's got something. He's got something. If not, your duty is to get out of that and get in front of the next up sorcerer. You know what I mean? The next up wizard guy. He's who you need to, and really, you also have to look to protect yourself. And remember, these guys were in high school. Was a
nerd in high school.
I don't know, because I don't think they were nerds to me.
Wally,
Yeah. He's a guy who's been or an abuser. Exactly. One of the two. Right, so you have to remember that. And remember, one thing you have to remember is this is a dangerous man in front of you. And any of the things that you think you've got a uniform, whatever, those things you got to get out of your mind. It's almost like you got to be blind. This guy's looking to mess me up. How do I get away from this guy? And what things do I have? Yes, sir. No, sir. Yeah. Whatever it is, get out of this and move on. That's not where your fight is.
And also too on the level too that when you realize that they're on that level of not being where you are, you immediately call supervisor. If somebody higher than you, because I obviously can't talk to you, and they have a right to go call supervisor or whoever like that.
But remember, do it in a way.
Yeah,
this is how I set the tone. You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of you and him are fair, and sort of, calling a man out, and you're looking at a little fight after school. That's one thing. The man's carrying a gun, doing whatever, not feeling got boys, you don't have backup. Your thing is just to, excuse me, I don't think we're communicating. Please call your supervisor.
And on top of that,
you know what I mean? Don't ever. That's not your place to exercise. That's what the prophet says. Don't flash your card out there. That's the wrong place.
And on top of that, you supervise your experience.
Hey, 100%. He's just one level. He's one IQ point higher than the next guy. And in fact, probably the reason why he's there is because he has been proven more No, really, right? I know that because up at the top, the politician is the dirtiest. Right? So go down. Sometimes you'll find an officer who's really trying. Some of those guys come into this wanting to make a change. Some of those guys really do.
Find some good ones.
Some of them really do, but ultimately they're never going to go anywhere because the system's been corrupt. Right? The other thing you have to always remember that the system is corrupt. So you can't expect. I think they said it too. It's like sitting down to a dirty card game. You can't expect that anything's going to be. You keep looking for some kind of fairness and legality. That's why I'm talking about over there. You keep looking for something fair. It's not happening. That's why we got to turn in. That's what I've been trying to get to now. We got to look within, bring ourselves up and move on. And even out there, it's going to come with some condition or some problem that's going to catch you again. The UCC codes, all of that stuff. Into the trust, whatever the hell it is, they got you.
I watched. I don't know if I was there. I was in that class, but it was an early class with Taj and on YouTube. You guys were in it, so I don't know if I was in that class, but man, that one was because he's been saying like misusing that UCC. They're not understanding it properly. Not understanding that it deals with strictly commercial, and they're trying to tie their nationality into commercial. It was really informative, man. I get at
that's part of the same thing. Remember, all it is a 100 people going into that room, whatever they have to do, even if they say go to that room, they don't care. They don't door, which is the nationality report, which means that they have to stop at the door. Exactly. But if they get you to that door, then we're here.
Jurisdiction. Yeah, that was an informative class.
Bringing up the point that you were talking about, how some officers want to make want to change.
Yeah.
Well,
talk about humans.
But the system's so corrupt, right? The article yesterday that I saw where they still call it Muslims, right? So but I read this article and they were talking about how they're starting to create jobs for it's right here, like if you want to read it, but they're trying to create jobs for the Muslims, right? Which are us, we're exposed to them all over the Americas, right? So is this what Prophet Noble Drew Ali was prophesizing when he said you have to be part of ourselves, because when this is happening, the nation states are going to be starting to do their trades, right? They're going to be starting doing trades. We're going to be out here with our hands out, like, you know what I mean? So
see, like even on that level, right? You have to remember that we had our own manufacturing companies giving each other jobs as Moors during the Prophet's time, right? It wasn't just Moor Science Temple only during Noble Drew Ali's time. There was, you know what I mean, like cookie factories, fishing factories, Moors had boats and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't this thing of how we look at it today. Oh, what are the Moors doing? And then, you know, everybody's got their hands dragging because, you know, they can't prove anything. During Noble Drew Ali's time, we had all those things. So how does it look to whether it's foreigners, European, whatever, that we had all this stuff, right? And now we have nothing. And it's not because of to us or like that. It's all because of our own.
yeah.
How's that? How are we looking as more to everybody else? You know what I mean? We're looking like we don't have our stuff going on.
Yeah.
You let young people do whatever. Let a Chinaman do something treasonous to another Chinese national, see what happens. Not playing no, we're still boys or, you know what I mean, whatever like that. They don't play those ones. But again, our you know, our passive approach that we've adopted from these same sellouts who meant something to us or whatever, and then we keep backing these passive people who they're working with the Europeans to make sure that we don't get anything. As soon as we come to say, forget that guy, now I'm going to go over here and do my own thing or whatever. Now we're an outcast or a renegade of, you know, the black community or whatever like that. When the reality is that we're trying to fix these problems. You know what I mean? It has more. You know what I mean? Like we have the most, but it starts with you better have nationality before you go do anything out there. Nothing matters if nationality isn't a piece of the puzzle, right? So with you know, with that, yeah, we're gonna give jobs to Muslims. Yeah, I mean, we can look at it like, yeah, they're talking forward to the Moors, you know what I mean? But the reality is, you know, you got Mufti right there. You don't need to be no police. You get no jobs with no police or nothing like that when you got Mufti. That's our job.
But you have to look at anything that's coming from them to and wonder why they're.
And wait a minute, too, right? You have to remember this. It's still about contract. Jurisdiction speaking, if you're going to them to accept something for the Muslims, really you're back in the
Yeah.
Right? And same way, just interrupt, same way with a certain sister who's looking to try and get nationality, then become a different jurisdiction to then access another program. And I was trying to tell you this the last time we were communicating back to the temple, but really we have to understand that it's about starting from the ground up and bringing our energy in and not trying to find something for them, because the instant you go to them, you've created the contract that then has them determining whether it's okay or not. This is going to be tough for you. That's what we have to turn around. This is the end. This is the end of the sorcery that we have to understand. This is about us having a field that's filled with shit. And we got to clear out for free. We then got to till the land for free. We then got to plant the seeds for free. We got to fertilize for free. Stop looking to say, colonizer, I'll clean the land because the land's mine. Colonizer, give me the seeds because the seeds are mine. Because once you're doing that, it's back in the jurisdiction.
But remember that all these things that we do for free, when stuff starts growing on the trees or whatever, that's all ours.
Yeah, but I
we reap everything from that. Nobody else can come and make a claim after that because we know that we're the ones that got our hands dirty.
But looking at comparison, you go to Brampton, the Hindustan men who are in their proper person,
they're not in their proper person because they became Hindu/Canadian, which they gave up their birthright, which gives them avenue to go get a grant or whatever like that to build their shrine, mosque, whatever it is.
Okay, no, hold that there for 1 second. Just 1 second. I want you to finish that. I'm going to understand this. Someone back home there, their home, you can deal.
So that when they come over here, they can get certain benefits.
So understand this. Behind the scenes, someone's made a deal. Because remember, as we know, money doesn't make labor. Labor makes the money. And right now, we're running out of that. And they've got Moors waking up. So what they had to do is they had to start bringing people into this place. So they start bringing Chinese. Every one of those people they see come here has paid some European some money for our shit to come here and work on our land and take our shit. So what you're missing is that behind the scenes, someone's made a deal to have those people come in there and they sold out.
But that's what we're saying. With us looking at this, we have to remember that we're born into what we see. We're not things that are going on that we realize, how come you guys are whatever like that? That we're not seeing it at its inception. Just like we're saying, there was people been paid out. People done side with the Europeans so they can have whatever it is in their country, so that when they come to a European country, they can,
Well, then let me go a step further. Back home in India, because we've never been there, because they make sure we don't go there, we don't have the money or whatever, and we don't go to a certain place. Back there, they're working for nothing. They're in the fields there, making a couple of cents. And what's happening is they created a slave labor force over there. And what they're doing is they're coming here to take us over. People are getting paid off behind the thing. And we're looking at how do they get that? Why shouldn't I get that? That's still part of the same, and that's why it's a multiplicity of stuff that they're doing. You then now want to become one of them. Same with our sister wants to become one of them because rather than knowing that she should just get some fucking books.
But they have an economical thing that's happening now, because now what they're doing is they're just bringing the people from back home, and they're scholars. I was reading for international, they get scholarships from schools to go to school for free, and then just like the Aboriginals, they get to go to school for free. They'll come here and then go back home and then start off their foundation or start off whatever they want to start off.
But remember, just like we said, they're going to get the education and go back home, but they're still getting paid 2 cents a year. Get back. So what are they really getting?
The people that still work here, we were talking about it like a couple classes ago. They still have their offshore accounts, but they're just sending the money back home. They're doing trades. They're doing trades.
So you're right. So what they're
doing? It's not like they're really not doing anything.
What they're really doing is they're really robbing us again.
Exactly.
So, but the point being is that that's yet again still proof positive. The proof positive that the Europeans who colonized here is still sucking the resources out of here. So really, I think you're looking at it in a sort of in a weird way. Yeah, that's what they're doing. They're doing it without us being involved, and they're also taking labor from elsewhere and having them come here and undermine the dollar that we should be making.
Us saying that the European, they're coming here doing contracts with the European. I don't think that's necessarily right. Is because of the fact that the Europeans are screwed up in the same way as some of us. A lot of them, what's that new bill? The bill C-51 or whatever. Some people that are born in Canada, they have to go back home and they lose their citizenship. They could lose all that.
Yeah, but reality is, they should if they're not from here.
Exactly.
But that's not if
we go back to the point, they're all sucking our resources.
Right.
And they're acting by law,
Explain it.
it's hard to explain, because everybody, when you read the Black's Law Dictionary and stuff, you have to protect the legal administration or the legal system, you know what I mean? And you can't just go blatantly and just, you know what I mean? You gotta act like everybody obviously has to be a citizen of a temple, right? Everyone has to be a citizen of their grand body, right? That's what the Asian people are doing, the Chinese people, we're just doing that.
That's the thing. We're just doing that.
Yeah.
But this is secondary. We were doing that during Obuduali's time and had everything. We had our own jobs and stuff like that. We had our own Moors that were in Congress. We had all those things. But if the people who are in charge aren't letting the people know what they have and pretending like what they have only belongs to, you know, the people that are echelon, and then the people down here, they don't got nothing or they can't have anything or whatever like that, unless they come through and do jump in for whatever, then you're gonna lose everything.
The people who are that look like us, they're not us. The only people that are us is the Moors who have their nationality. So those black people who are up there and, you know, passing bills and stuff, we have nothing to do with those guys, because mind you, we're like everybody in the
but they're sitting in your seat.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is, so how they get in your seat? This is if they're not Moors, if they're Negro, black, colored people, which means that they're classified, that's not their identity or whatever like that. How they get in those seats that are your seats?
By you know, they got there by just, you know, like.
Now, let me add on to this. In that same class, Taj broke all this down, because what happens is, when Noble Drew Ali said part and parcel, he's talking about being part and parcel with the Republican form of government. But I think a lot of brothers get confused of trying to be part and parcel with the democracy.
No. If we're in our national,
what I mean to say by that is that the so-called colorful government that we see now isn't Republican. It's a democracy. So a lot of the let's say Indians, Hindu brothers, and these Chinese brothers, they're doing business with the democracy. They're not doing business with the republic form of government. So when Noble Drew said we need to fight for ourselves with the Republican form, means that we need to get, obviously we need to do what we gotta do in order to get this democracy out of the way. And once we get back to the Republican form, then we can now engage and be part and parcel. But right now, it's not possible, because it's a democracy. You see what I'm saying? And that democracy is colorful. It's a fraud. It's fraudulent. Yeah, they have Republican titles. They have the Congress, which is Republican. So let's say a Republican title. So they're not upholding Republican. They're running around portraying a democracy under the guise of Republican. You know what I mean? So that's what causes a lot of confusion right now. Most brothers understand there's a massive difference between a democracy and a republic. Then you start to see, okay, well, there's not much we can do with these blood-sucking bastards, because democracy was never set up for the people, where the republic was.
And then when you look at that, Europeans, Europeans who realize that, hold on a second, these guys who've been voting for the last whatever year, they're not the republic, they're the democracy. I'm going to relinquish my U.S. citizenship and I'm going to vote for you.
Exactly, but that's the next thing that we got to talk about is the Hague Conventions. They made like it's like a private international. The Hague Convention. They have like a multilateral treaties that they developed, which is like private international law. We don't know about that. And if we have to go up into the political setting, Noble Drew Ali taught us showed us Declaration of Human Rights. We have all those things, and in order for us to be in that position, we can't be black, or we can't be none of them. We have to be our real proper person.
We know that. In regards to the age and stuff, was that stuff from a Republican standpoint or a democracy standpoint?
I understand that, but with our paperwork, our paperwork expresses who we are as a person. We can't go to anywhere expressing, say, oh, I'm black, so you guys gotta respect me. No one's respecting none of that. But it already, no one's respecting that, but anywhere we go, it's void ab initio, because of the fact that they know who we are. That's why it's important to keep us at a certain frequency. Because once we're there, we're there.
We're already vibrating. Us here, we're already vibrating past that.
We're not, like Kujo was saying, someone is in our seat right now. We're not in that. We're not in those right now.
But I'm saying that from the perspective of not that we have to get them out that seat.
No, we just have to act according to how you know.
And then that's what this is. This is about. That's what this is. It's about us recognizing that we're the seed. It's about us recognizing that when they say Congress, you're not looking to some Washington or whatever. Congress is right here.
Exactly.
When we say court, court's not a building down wherever. The court's right here with us.
But we could still end up in those certain spots, though.
Yeah, we can end up, but we're not ending up there out of we're ending up there because of the democracy, because of the things that have nothing to do with us, right? That unfortunately we're tied to because of people who were in positions of power in this and took the position of side with the European, not give you your birthright.
Okay, but hey, us getting our birthright, right? Another like, yes, here is the spot, but we still have to be active in order to claim our nationality. We still have to put our energies out in those certain places in order to be like, okay, they know, like, you know what I mean? Like,
but they already know. That's the thing. We're looking at.
So if we go to court, if we go to court, they know I'm a Moor.
Yeah.
They're not going to know unless I physically put that energy of that paperwork, me writing those spells on physical paper and putting it in there. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. The same thing with us going in the seats, us going in the court, anywhere else. It's the same thing. We're supposed to be part and parcel of the government. Us just saying,
but again, you're saying part and parcel, but you're dealing with a democracy. And if you're not part and parcel with that. The only reason that you're giving them the paper is so that they don't classify you as Negro, black, colored, and railroad you. And that's the only reason. Democracy. You're not going to put your paperwork and then for them to say, oh yeah, there's a Moor. Okay, well I'm going to take the judge's robe off and then now you come here and now you be the judge of this democracy. No, that's not what we want. We can't. All we're doing is putting them on notice of our position.
Let me give you another example. It's like saying the card game here, that's the government. Remember, it's the dirty card game. You keep wanting to sit down at the card game. What you're trying to do, and they keep trying to get you to invite you. Your paperwork tells them if you're not involved in the card game and you step away from the card game. The card game is dirty. The card game is never going to be clean. That's not the card game you're involved. Tell them about that somehow you can play in the card game. They know it's dirty, and they know that you're the one. You're not saying anything to them because the card game is dirty. It will never be clean.
But you could drop the paper in there, and then be like, all right, I got my Moors over here, so I drop the paper in there, and then yo, Moors, come over here, let's do our thing over here. I'll do your thing over here.
That's not the same thing. You're not doing nothing with that card game no more because you got your own game over here.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But all you did was just put them on notice.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying.
But here's the problem: is that, and this is what you have to watch with your frequency. Is I think what's happening, and it happens, I think, a lot of the time in the beginning of the learning curve, you keep seeing the threads that they're hanging out there, and you keep unconsciously, while consciously attaching yourself to those things, right? You keep seeing the understanding this. What about this? Things you have to start getting over and understanding that that has nothing to do with us, right? So that's what I'm sensing, and I don't know if you're
like if for example, if we see look at like out here, right? You look at out here, right? Majority of individuals out here that are quote unquote prominent, whatever, more than likely European. It's like anywhere else, right? They got in that position because they said, we're not going to do nothing lawful, legal, whatever like that. We're going to kill people. We're going to take people's head. We're going to mess up people's families. We're going to, make people be Christian when they should be whatever, steal their property because they have our name, whatever like that. And now they're in the power seat. And then we're coming, looking at them in the power seat, and all these other people that are in the power seat, and not thinking that all those people did dirt to get where they're at. Even when we look at Gandhi, people look at Gandhi like, oh yeah, Gandhi is peace, whatever like that. He's one of the biggest workers with the European to undermine dark-skinned people on the planet. He didn't like dark-skinned people. You know what I mean? And we're saying over there.
But
Right? People over there. So when they come over here now, right? You ever notice that when we look at Hindustani and whatever, all these other people that come over here, it's always the light ones. It's never the dark skinned ones that we know is over there. It's always the light ones. Why is it the light ones that's always coming over here? Because they're siding with the, with the colonizer. You know what I mean? Right? And then we have this perspective that, oh, well, you know, you're Hindustani. I guess that's how they all look. But then when you go over there, they got Hindustanis darker than us over there. Right? Philippines too. Right?
Same thing with the Philippines, the only light ones.
And then right now too. And then when you check the record, you realize that the dark ones are known as one over there in their own language. So we have like I'm saying, what we're dealing with is we realize that, okay, you know, we're, you know, the authority, we're the ones that should be doing certain things, right? Because of the colonization and infiltration and things of that nature, we can't do the things that we're supposed to be naturally able to do, right? So instead of getting mad, frustrated, or whatever like that, come together amongst ourselves, set up our own stuff, and then go from and then move forward in that direction. Not going back to try to whatever. We just set up our own stuff and then move forward from that direction.
before
Build
you
onto that.
sorry for
Got a question on the back.
no, go ahead. I gotta go to the bathroom.
What, before you even get on there, I was going to say a lot of people, you got to get out of the concept that it's going to happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, it might not happen in our lifetime.
It might not.
You might be just setting up the stage
Foundation.
for our children to come after us, and it probably won't even be on a real level till it's our children's time.
Right.
But I think a lot of people coming with concepts thinking that it's going to happen in our lifetime. It's going to happen
Now
tomorrow.
we're gonna get it.
We need
Yeah.
to get out of that.
We're gonna get it.
A quick question.
Yeah.
In the Moors, right? Does that pertain to like our phenotype, how we look being original people? Or does that do like
More bloodline. Right? But in the definition, for example, black or Moor is any dark-skinned person, especially an African Negro, is what a Moor is. So if you're dark-skinned or African or classified as Negro by a European, black, colored, whatever like that, you're Moor. That's just what it is, right? And the little separations that we have, you know, Trinidadian, Jamaican, whatever like that, you know, Congolese or whatever, all those things are, you know, the next level of who we are. And then when you say, you know, go deeper than that, and then you say, you know, Christian or whatever tribe or this particular language or phenotype or whatever that, then that's what I mean. But the bloodline is that we're more, and that's our modern name everywhere.
Yes.
Anciently, we're Egyptians, Phoenicians, Carthaginians, whatever like that. Not even arguing with that. But those things don't apply today. Right? Because nobody could come in 2015 and say they're Carthaginian. Nobody come in 2015 and say that they're Kemetic. Or that they're Israel. Those are ancient names. The name that we were subjugated as and turned into Negro, black, colored people as a classification. The name before that was Moor. And even the research from historically in the timeline. Before slavery, the Moorish history for 700 years in the world. Then before that, then this is another history. But if we're going to go from Negro black colored into we're Kemetic or we're Cushite, we just skipped over 700 years of Moorish history. That ties us to everything that's been going on historically all throughout the world. I mean, that's why they don't talk about the Moors. They'll talk about all these other things. But as soon as they start talking about all these other things, they disconnect you from the bloodline. Once they get you away from the bloodline, now it's up to assumption as to what you are. Because they already know that we can't, ancient people were Kemetans and whatever like that. But they know today we're not that. Like you can't be Kemetic in 2015. Like it's not happening like that because there's no nation called Kemet on the planet right now. If there was a nation called Kemet on the planet, all right. Dark skinned people. Yeah.
So with the national process, so do we like send the insurance
how I look at it, just like we were saying with because we're under occupation, right? Somebody who comes in with information and they're use the example of they drive a bus for a living, so they feed their family, right? That's how they survive. If you found out that you're a Moor today, you're not going to rescind the license tomorrow because they will fire you. Because in order to drive a bus, you need a license. So, yes, you have to rescind them, but no, you don't because they're void from their inception. Like we're using void instruments. So we don't necessarily have to rescind it like that, right? But because it's a contract, you want to at least let people know that this is what you're doing because we've adopted all these instruments. So all the people who gave you an instrument in your nationalization package, you would be saying it. I would commonly use the name of whatever John Frank. I adopt Moorish names, LJ, whatever. And then people give you SIM card, they get put on notice that you made this correction. They don't need anything. They have nothing to do with you making that proclamation. You have a right to do that. You have a right to change your nationality any time, and nobody can tell you that you can't change your nationality. But just like we were talking about earlier, there's a difference between the Republican people and the democracy. And we've been dealing with a democracy under the guise that we're dealing with a legitimate government when they're just corporate people. So if you realize, that the people who you've been calling social insurance number issuers, you come to your senses and then you take the blinders off and you realize for the past 10 years for your social insurance check, you've been going to McDonald's. You're not going to tell them nothing. You're not going to go to them and say, oh, McDonald's, you guys gave me social insurance, whatever like that. You know what I mean? I just want to let you guys know because, that's McDonald's. They don't deal with this thing called social insurance. They've been playing you. So you just put them on notice with the paperwork or whatever so that they know where you stand. Then you go to the next guy. Put them on notice where you stand. Because as nationals, we have a right to contract. Because we've been contracting with government people for so long, we now have to sort of use things that they've given us out of necessity. Not really because we want to use it, but because, if you're not on the science and your child gets sick or whatever, you're going to have to go to the hospital. You better have a health card or they're charging you $500 for a pill. So what are you going to do? Pay $500 $500 for a pill, or just show the damn card that these people gave you and get the pill for free. If that's what you need, right? You know, license, right? Just like what Brother Supreme was. Why don't you just give us the license? Just give us the license. And we'll let you go or whatever like that. Just give us the license. Well, no, I'm not doing like I'm not engaging in commerce, or here's ID or whatever, right? But, you know, if you're a clean record, you don't got nothing on you, ain't nothing on this, you got no bodies in the trunk or whatever, give him a license, this guy's gonna do his whatever, and you go about your business, and it's not really a big deal like that. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, certain things that we have, we're gonna use them out of necessity until we get this ball rolling that we can fully get rid of things. So like that's why we said we started up the Land and Transport Department, right? So that Moors could have their own plates and their own whatever stuff like that, so that you could rescind those stuff because we have an alternative now. But you don't want to rescind without having an alternative, without options. And that's
somebody was making a great point. Right? Without the license, you can't be driving corporate plates, corporate license, and corporate card. Your card is
right.
You have to get the MCO.
Right.
So I'm going to rescind those protocols to do it. And if you have the fiat to rescind it, like you say you have something here, then you can rescind all that.
Right.
If you have your own schools to go to, you don't have any schools like that. So we still have to.
So we have to accommodate. Yeah.
So there's things like vaccination. People say that you have that vaccination to go to public school. It's not true. There's writs and there's a form that you fill out so you can not still attend a public school without being vaccinated. So there's protocols, some things, but there's some of the IDs that you need. And then the withdrawal, you said,
right. And that's I'm a prime example in regards to the resending documents. A lot of people, you have to know that the corporate system, you guys are all criminals, man. Yeah. So unless you're a thoroughbred and you're willing to, you know, spend a night or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 in jail, like I've done it. You see what I'm saying? But I wouldn't advise everybody to do it. I wouldn't advise the ordinary brother to resend his license, because I'm telling you, when they pull you over for traveling, if you stand on your nationality and you give them nothing other than your appellation, which is what we say is your name that you chose for yourself, they're taking you to the station. They're gonna charge you for obstruction of justice. They're gonna throw you in the bin. They're gonna remand your bail here. You know what I mean? It's gonna be a battle. So, me personally, from the experience now, I tell brothers, I'm like, listen, until we get to the point where the entire policy enforcement are on notice, and they know when they encounter a Moor, he's going to be traveling, he's not going to be driving. I wouldn't suggest you pull that unless you're willing to go through the process of saying, yeah, I'm staying on my nationality, I'm staying on traveling, and you're going to fight in the court like me. Right. On the average person, I wouldn't suggest that, because it's a lot of heartache to deal with.
And then even on that level too, you know, there's Moors who give their nationality card and they don't get fight. Yeah. Regardless whether it's Klansmen that stop them, Nazi that stop them, whoever, they see the stuff, go, oh, all right, we don't have a nice day, and they go about their business. And they don't have any issues. Yeah, zero issues.
Yeah, it depends who you count.
Zero issues. You know, just because. You know?
Okay. What do you call the conventions? What do you call it? Yeah, Geneva Convention. I was reading the PDF on that, right? They got like 300 or 400 pages or whatever. And I need to ask you a question. Isn't it true that a diplomat, secret citizen, that they've been keeping under the table for like years? And Masons are diplomats. I want to say some internationals are diplomats that are part of embassies and consulate officers. They're diplomats. That's international protocol that we're working up to. We're making it seem
national supersedes diplomat.
National,
National, just like you said, diplomat applies to certain people, right? National is higher than diplomat. Diplomats are using It's just like when we say with the sovereignty, right? And you look at Europeans who are saying free man on the land, right? They only do that here. They don't do that anywhere else. They only do that in North America. The reason why they can do that here is because they're using Moorish nationality without saying we're using Moorish nationality. Because if they said that they're using Moorish nationality, then everybody's going to get down with Moorish nationality, not their free man stuff. When they say diplomat, they're saying diplomat, but really they're talking about national jurisdiction.
Yeah, but I understand that. Like, if you're a diplomat, you're in a national jurisdiction.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily. That's what we're saying too. That
Yeah.
you keep tying them to so-called countries and nations that aren't really countries, but corporations. So the diplomat itself is part of the corporate thing that they messed up. It's like the government seats. You think this guy's a senator when really he's just a criminal
Or a prime minister
or a prime minister.
Well,
When
he's
he's
not
really
a prime minister.
when he's really just part of the corporation. So the diplomat is part of the corporation. They're calling him a diplomat. The corporation, corporation Jamaica, the corporation Trinidad. The diplomat from the corporation of Jamaica is basically just a higher up. Who we agree to say, okay, and that's where you get the diplomatic plate, where you can be in another country with the plates and do something wrong, and they don't come after you because we made a deal that if our boy over there is doing something wrong, so everything's all right. But that's just through agreement. What he's saying is
That's not the substance or the core of what it is. That's just facade.
With Taj, I was reading when I was watching one of Taj's videos, he was saying that we have to get onto international protocols and start understanding international protocols.
Right.
And the Geneva Convention talks about that. And you guys, well, from what I was learning with the Moors is, we're not even there yet. Just because of we were acting in a national we were acting accordingly with legal, well, not, you know what I mean?
But that's what I was saying earlier. That we were there.
We were, but we fell
People
down, just
played
like
you.
the literature. We fell down.
No, we didn't fall. People played us why we're in the situation why we're having this discussion right now.
just to interrupt too.
Like
Verona went to Cuba, got the mandate back, put us on an international level.
we were on an international level.
Then what they did, they infiltrated the movement, put their boys in, killed the prophet, and then we fell. So that's what you have to remember. We were there.
Well, we
We
were
were
drunk
already
with
there.
We're drunk with literature, though. So we're
Exactly. You know,
there,
maybe
but
you
we
made
weren't
it
there.
But you made
We're right in
Yeah,
our mind.
but
You
you
know,
see,
it's still kind of a messy chocolate.
Yeah, but
You know what I
that's
mean?
but that's why Drew Ali said back then that this is for the young and unborn, because he knew that those Moors back then weren't there. That's why Drew Ali said new Moors are going to come with their eyes wide open, seeing and knowing, and they're going to carry out the law.
But that's understanding literature and the technology of these words and stuff like that. That's why the internet's there, because we could grasp information
Be
from
careful
all over
though
the
too,
world.
though, because a lot of the times when you make mention of reading a lot of stuff, remember, a lot of the stuff you're reading, just because it comes up on an internet screen,
Doesn't mean that that's legit either.
right? Just because you're reading the Geneva Convention from Switzerland, remember, you're looking at a European who's talking about us. That's part of what I'm saying, that's where it's going to come from time. Reading that, because what I'm sensing happening, this is what I've seen with a lot of more. But also they see something, and it's like like you remember it says in the Quran, you saw something in the winds and you grasped at it. You're looking at something and you're grabbing at that. Now that may not be that's really what it's about. You now become sidetracked on that because it said something that connects with what
where you are in which frame of mind.
which is what you think. So the Geneva Convention says diplomats are there. Well, that's it. The countries and the nations that we do are all legit, but they're not. Each one of them, India isn't the true land. United States isn't the true land. Canada isn't the true land. So all those different.
And then Geneva, if we look at Geneva, they also have a convention on statelessness that nobody talks about. That's probably the biggest convention that people need to really recognize. That these international community people know that there's a thing called statelessness, not belonging to a state or not having a nationality, and that they go meet about that on a regular basis.
That's really another code word for slavery.
We know that League of Nations is not for us and all that stuff, but they're still acting as the Ottoman Empire because we're all of that. We should know we're all of that. Like we're all of it. So
yeah, but just like
we're still acting in the like the lowest status, saying,
just
oh,
like we,
why don't we put all rights reserved with the diplomat status besides citizenship? Because it wouldn't make sense. If you go all rights reserved with a diplomat, at least you could say, okay,
diplomat, why not do all rights
I mean?
reserved as a national? Why diplomat? Why stop there?
No, why can't? Why citizenship? Diplomat, citizenship, all rights reserved on a contract with a diplomat.
You're missing some words. National is about citizen.
Citizen is lower than diplomat.
Citizen is underneath the national. A citizen is what technically the European would be here, who would be given the mandate to be allowed to be here. National is connected to natal, which is connected to the land. We are national. The citizens would be the Europeans. They just flip the script. And they're pretending that they're the nationals and the sovereign people.
But we're still citizens of our congregation or our temple, though.
Now you're listening. Now, remember this. So you keep this moving. That's jurisdictionally speaking. In terms of the regency here, we would be citizens of that.
But us being citizens of quote unquote the temple, that's our domestic jurisdiction. That has nothing to do with anything out there.
Right.
That's strictly us.
Just Canaanland.
Like that has nothing to do with anybody else who says that they're more in Science Temple or whatever like that. That's, you know, they can say whatever.
We are
our own jurisdiction of Moors. If you go to New Jersey, those Moors are their own jurisdiction of Moors.
But ultimately, under the heading of everything, we are United States Republican nationals. That's what we be. We are nationals of this land. So that's above that. That's like a little that's like this sect and that sect.
Right,
That's what
right.
I'm saying.
Like, you know, and when we say international, right? Like we said, Raleigh went to Cuba. Raleigh had sultans from over there in the Quran. We have a flag. We have, you know, certain customs come out of Muslim customary law, which isn't from over here, which is from over there. So we are international already. The problem is that we don't recognize what we are.
And we keep
always
looking
need validation.
we keep looking for validation from them,
from somewhere else.
from their terms.
When we have to validate.
But how is that validation? How is that validation? If it's because the thing I'm not getting is how are we saying that us doing our due diligence of studying and working and putting out our own energies into these papers and stuff, how is that looking for their validation? Because me sitting here right now, they're not gonna give me no me sitting right here right now, I'm just gonna be me, right? Like just be me.
A God.
You know what I mean?
God, remember this, a God.
Yeah.
Nothing else but a God. You keep looking for them to validate something to you.
But they still won't even validate because
Listen to your language. You keep saying they. That has really where you are. You're amongst your people and your gods right here, and we validate you. That's the most important thing. You keep looking for them to validate you.
They're corrupt.
And
but every
corrupt.
word we say out of our mouth is like it's hard to
spell,
explain.
and it's an energy.
It's not even just the spell. It's all
mind frame.
It's hard to explain because like you say we're part and parcel. We say we're part and parcel. It's like oh I can't explain it.
Go ahead.
Okay, we say we're part and parcel. We have to get up to the international law aspect, right? The international protocol. We have to live all those words that Noble Durrell is teaching us. You know what I mean?
But it's not going to happen all at once.
No, it won't.
It happening. And when we say it's happening in portions.
I just want to say one great point. So you keep looking for us to get to the international. First path to the international. See, you're jumping one of the steps.
You're jumping like 5 steps.
Yeah,
because remember, like in the same class,
Sorry.
Nature was breaking down how when you look at municipal and provincial and federal, state, whatever like that, right? Anybody who says that they're president, they made it to the top of the hierarchy. They had to master those lower hierarchies first before they even get to even be considered on that level. They have to master the lowest level first. And our thing is
looking to get international,
right? Before we even know how to deal with colonizers just walking on the street out here.
I know what you're saying, but I need like I understand that we need to stick together here and work on our foundation first, right? Before we can even we have to creep before we walk, right? But I just wanted to know. You know what I mean? I just wanted to
Here's
know
what I'm
my
realizing,
elders,
here's what
right?
I'm
Like,
realizing
that's all.
with you.
Like,
What I'm realizing with you, which is a great thing, your mind is there, which is incredible. Think about this. You're really, it's like we're talking about great PMAP, you're already dealing with
Calculus,
level.
trigonometry.
And that's incredible. And we're saying that's incredible, but we're just telling you that the rest of us are still at grade 3. So you can come in here, talk about that, but until we master grade 3, you're really, and it's really going to be difficult for you because we're still talking about 2 plus 2, and you're talking about x, 2x minus 3y, and all this stuff. Saying that's something that you should be incredibly grateful for that in yourself, but understand that you have to sort of almost dumb yourself down.
But the same thing too.
And not as an insult.
No,
just to
I
help you.
understand.
Just to help you. That's
That's
right.
And the same thing is true, like once you master grade 3, you master grade 4, you master grade 5, you go all the way up. Then you realize that some of the equations you were trying to do in trigonometry was off.
Right.
Based on the fact that you kind of missed some of the
Right.
grade 3, grade 4, grade 5,
Right,
and grade
right,
6.
right.
So yeah, it's not even like you have to slow yourself down. You got to make sure that your grade 3 is on
Right.
point.
Where
Right.
what you're saying is the foundation has to be
It has to be firm.
Because what's happening is you're going to jump up there and it's going to be built on sand.
Exactly.
You're going to miss something.
It's gotta be steady. Yeah.
Exactly.
I understand. Yeah.
Exactly. No, but the Rennie's asking a couple questions too. Was there anybody else have any questions?
I have a question on the Dutch Golden Age.
The Dutch Golden Age, 1800s. And the Nordic countries. The Nordic countries. And like question on like the Danish culture or the descendants. Yeah, descendants.
What about?
Just like about like the original, like who are the Danish people?
Okay, let's use as a timeline. Actually, 2 things. You're gonna go on YouTube and you're gonna look up Gary the Andy. That's a brother who's in Europe, right?
Just like that's a skate that I had to go on.
Right. Gary the Andy. DEANDE. Gary the Andy. He has about 5 DVDs that you can buy, and he has maybe about 7 or 8 classes dealing with the history of Europe, Moors in Europe, all that stuff. Keep in mind that with the timeline, anything after, say, 1492 is based in Europeans already infiltrating and exercising the powers that the Moors gave them. While at the same time not mentioning the Moors, getting the Moors off the way, making it seem like, Europe is killed. Prior to 1492, everything in the history of Europe is Moorish based.
Just to let you know, today, they had a, before, they had a ruling or a proclamation that Spain has now sort of proclamation that any Jews could prove, Sephitic Jews, they call it, who can prove that they are connected back to Spain, can go back and get a Spanish passport, connecting them back to Spain, back to the connection in 1492.
Right.
So when we do the understanding of what Jews are, then you realize who they're talking about. And they would say that it was a great travesty that has happened. So what you're realizing is that in the ethers, they're having to sort of backtrack, turn things around, and starting. And that's the jumping off point. Remember, 1492, right, is where this all started. Right? So that was the jumping off point when the ones were here. We let them move to here.
And that's coming back to the same thing about using them as validation, because really and truly, what they're trying to do is get anybody who claims to be Jew, Hebrew, or whatever like that over here to go over there, which means they're leaving their estates vacant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. so that they can come in and now they have a little bit more extra time because they already know that their time is done. They already know that, you know, they can't stop the momentum this time. They might have been able to stop it during back then when dead Negroes were around moving throughout. But the new Moors that came in with eyes wide open and they see what's going on or whatever, they're not stopping this now. This is full force ahead right now.
That's the population.
So they have to do everything that they can.
And they were talking about,
they tried to slow
down.
down.
They mentioned that they said 90,000 people. They say are projected to be able to go back to claim basically the dual citizenship to back there. So what I didn't even tie that in with what you thought.
And then remember too that when they go back and they go claim, that place is called Spain. That's Al-Andalus. So they're putting themselves back into a foreign jurisdiction again.
Yeah, and then
Because that's not Spain. That's Ferdinand and Isabella, which is Roman Catholicism. Which means that, hold on a second. So now, if you say that you're a Jew, why are you going to go to some Catholics? To go to some
Catholics?
Catholics?
You know what I now bring it up is what
What was it before that? What was it called before that?
Al-Andalus.
Yeah, who was there before these?
That's when Moors ruled. Yeah, that's when Moors ruled.
Yeah.
So in 1492, King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella came together to kick the Moors out of Spain.
Yeah. Well, what I'm saying, if you would check back deep in history, you realize that the Moors were all over the globe.
All over the globe.
I know.
So if you even go to Europe, it's the same people.
Yeah,
They're still.
It's their land just the same.
No,
They're trying to contact with us
statues.
in the wrong
Yeah, they're trying to get you to be under the jurisdiction of the monarchies and the Pope. Are supposed to be under the jurisdiction of who and the Most High.
And really why they're using Spain is because Spain was the jumping off point.
That's where it
Yeah,
started.
get all the work
Yeah.
out. For a very long
What they
time.
were saying was the reason why they were turning that back, and it's funny they brought up Rome, they said they bring this up because during that period of time, the Roman Catholic Church was involved in this whole Spanish Inquisition.
Right, yeah.
And they mentioned the Spanish Inquisition, what kicked them out to begin with. Like he's saying, they're trying to get all these people back there so that then the state is still left over.
But then now they have catch-22 because they have their South American Pope Francis, who's talking about denouncing the doctrine of discovery, denouncing that there's such thing as Jesus and all that type of stuff, and you know he's pulling the
I don't know what's going on with that guy.
from under them at the same time because he knows that karmically, like you want to tie yourself to what these Romans been doing for the past 500 years or whatever.
I have a question too. Have you guys heard of the Pygmies or the Pygmies?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like they're in Ireland.
Oh yeah, that's the
They're
same
in Ireland,
Australia was
and I believe in Guyana too. Guyana's because we call them buck or I forgot, they call them like buck or something like that. It's indigenous people in the yeah. So like how are they 5'4" and our people like, you know what I mean? Like do we descend from the same tribe as them or something like that? Like okay,
You're looking at it's just like when they say giants.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe the giants were the ones that were the first ones.
That's hard to keep your
But you know, with all these things going on, you know, people crossbreeding and whatever like that, you're gonna get stuff happen. You know what I mean? Just like you might have there was a sister that we used to go to high school with that, you know, you swear she's happy. Light or whatever. I mean, like light. And you see both their parents are dark skin or whatever. You know what I mean? So, you know, melanin has a way of, you know what I mean, doing stuff that's not normal.
My sister, the same thing happened to her with her skin, with their baby blonde hair.
Yeah, for real.
My mom was white.
Yeah.
So that baby just took the DNA structure and all. That came before. The father father is half
Yeah.
European as well, so he just came out with all that
Right,
structure. So
right.
his mom and dad are brown and they look just like that.
Through
It's
the
not
line,
his
yeah. Think somebody. Anybody else have any questions? We're at 309 right now. We got some time.
Another question, just pertaining to like status, like, I just want to get some clarification for like creditor and debtor status, like if we're here to do on comments as well, right? So like, as far as this, as far as not cases in Congress, there's a system, as far as our status in Congress.
So with,
How important is it like to try to be secure for credit?
as nationals, our status is always credible because this is our estate, right? When you hear people make the claim of being a secured party creditor, realize that in the jurisdiction of commerce, a creditor could also be a debtor, right? Because if they're gonna say, actually, you know what? March 17th, 1993, volume 33, page H1303. Speaker, Representative James Traficant Jr., Ohio, addressing the House. Mr. Speaker, we are here now in Chapter 11. Members of Congress are official trustees presiding over the greatest reorganization of any bankrupt entity in world history, the U.S. government. We are setting forth, hopefully, a blueprint for our future. There are some who say it is a coroner's report that would lead to our demise. It is an established fact that the United States federal government has been dissolved by the Emergency Banking Act, March 9, 1933, declared by President Roosevelt being bankrupt and insolvent. Right? So, United States government and anything tied to it is bankrupt, insolvent, and dissolved.
Something came to me. It's a banking act that has dissolved the government.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Right.
Yeah,
That's good.
That's
So,
1930.
so when you think about that, what you realize is that that wasn't a government to begin
That
with.
was the government to begin with.
That's why it's back to the government now.
It's basically like the higher ups of the fraud said, okay, we have to cancel this right now and reorganize.
Right? And then remember too, tie this in. Let's tie this in as well. Okay. This is Montauk Book of the Dead, Peter Moon. The document Jwali received was a copy of a mandate whereby the Mexican Empire extended a land grant of the entire Western Hemisphere to certain Europeans. I have not seen the document, and its exact contents are highly mysterious, yet its ramifications literally turned the United States of America upside down. Essentially, it leased America to a certain party for a particular number of years, not unlike the way China leased Hong Kong to Great Britain. The lease was up in 2004. It is entirely reasonable to believe that such a document, if it still exists, can be brought to light. It is a mere relic of a long-forgotten era that has no significant meaning in today's legal system. That would be fine except for one very important point. If you have truly studied the detailed legal history of the United States of America, you would understand that there is more than little truth of there being such a document. Why? The entire legal history of the United States is predicated on such a proposition. What is known is that Secretary of State Hughes from the U.S. government attended the Pan American Conference and was made privy of this mandate. So were several other heads of state. As a result, a closed-door conference between the several nations was held in Geneva, Switzerland, and a labyrinth series of discussions and negotiations began. The Geneva conferences went on for 5 years, but the records are still kept sealed to this very day, right? Which goes back to Geneva Conventions, and then you see stuff online, and then you think that that's what it is, when they got the stuff secret in some vault or whatever, and what they're putting online isn't even really what went on.
What that's done is that's give you points so that you can say, okay, I found what they're talking about.
Right?
Really, they're not telling
They're
you.
not telling you anything, right? It is known that several international banks called in their loans as a result of this potential legal threat, and the stock market crashed in 1929. Right? They tell people 33-year crash, but it really crashed in 29. Several countries, which included the United States, Portugal, France, and Spain, declared bankruptcy in order that relevant powers could buffer themselves from any potential legal claim. In the case of the United States of America, it was reorganized with a new corporate legal status. Franklin Roosevelt was part and parcel of the entire plan when he abolished the gold standard and created the New Deal. Federal Reserve notes were then issued in place of gold-backed currency. The Great Seal of the Moors was used on the back of the notes. People behind, oh, right. So we'll stop there, right? So I'll go back to this now.
What was that year, 1933 now?
Yeah, so this is talking about 1933 now. HJR 192, 73rd Congress M session, June 5th, 1933. Joint resolution to suspend the gold standard and abrogate the gold clause, dissolve the sovereign authority of the United States and the official capacities of all United States governmental officers, and departments, and is further evidence that the United States federal government exists today in name only.
Remember, whenever, that's what I'm saying with you too. Whenever you talk about anything, you're trying to validate anything, you're trying to validate a bunch of criminals, or a situation that doesn't exist. It's an illusion. You keep looking vague.
But you know what's crazy though is all their fraud is in records. So anytime we put our paperwork in or whatever, we have like lists.
Fine, but it's still them. Yeah. They're then validating everything. You still keep going back to them. And what I'm saying to you is just, as I said, you're way ahead of this. But remember, they're the ones who are still deciding on it.
But we have like 200, 300, 400 years of slavery to put on their ass.
But they're still going to be the ones determining what the result of that is. When instead, we just got to look towards ourselves. That's what I'm getting at. All that stuff that you're proving has already been.
Yeah. It's proof that this is proof what you're pushing.
So maybe I don't know what they're more.
Nationality, you actually are credited back to the land. They can never be on the side of the credited. Only if we stay in the background and we allow them to keep acting like they're in this great right there. But you're how it's time again.
Like if you look at it like the only way that the secured party creditor and those things come from the perspective of there's a public and then there's a private side, right? And then in the private side is where you're supposed to do all this or whatever because it's private and that has nothing to do with it. And then you're a secured party creditor because it's a private side, whatever. But public really deals with the public. Public really deals with people are the government, not some corporate entity. So if you remove yourself from the public, you're removing yourself from the republic. And then once you start getting into commerce, just like brother was saying, you can't mix sovereignty and commerce. They don't mesh like that. You can't mix nationality and commerce because commerce is trade.
Their system is illusion.
And so if commerce is trade, then why don't we just do commerce amongst each other and trade this way, opposed to trying to tie ourselves to some credit. You know what I mean? Because of a birth certificate, and then there's credit there, and then now we can use that as whatever. When you don't need to go that far, because like we said before, all those instruments been dissolved when they were made, right? United States bankrupt. Who are they going to? They're going to say that, you know, in order for you to tie yourself to this credit, you're going to have to go through the Department of the Treasury, right? The Treasury Department is how you're going to have access to this wealth of credit that's going to make you a secured party, right? This is what they say about the Treasury Department now, that these people are saying that they're going to tie themselves to in order to be a secure party creditor, right? The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, right? Come back again, Geneva Convention, right? And United Nations, international community, but really, that's the international bankers. That's not even the nations of the earth or whatever.
They have everybody believing that.
They have everybody think that that's the nations of the earth, but that's not the nations of the earth. That's the international bankers, banksters who got their puppets.
To add to that point right there, everybody who's in the United Nations, every country that's involved in the United Nations has an IMF.
As an IMF, we're in
Has
the
an IMF banks.
right?
And nobody who's not part of the United Nations, those are the countries that don't have an IMF.
And there's only three.
But there's only like three
There's only
countries.
three of them.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
And those are the countries that they sent ISIS into.
Right.
Al Qaeda.
So-called
Muammar Gaddafi.
Libya was not on that. They
Right.
just went down there and they
Yep.
assassinated.
That's what that point right there is beautiful.
Yep.
Because when you realize that, the international bankers created the United Nations.
Now there's only three countries. And the people, this is another thing that I learned. The TSA, so the airports, when they're only, the terrorist watch that they say they're doing, the only people that they give a hard time is those countries that don't have a IMF.
Really?
They're not going after Muslims or
Right.
people in that they claim that are terrorists. It's
Are
only
terrorists.
people that do not have an IMF bank.
That's a good point right there.
So, a question I want to ask.
Hold on 1 second. Remember the question though. Let me just touch this quick time. All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency war power.
Just reread that.
The whole part again?
The whole part, the whole part of the
receivers,
government,
yeah.
and then, because the time is just here.
The receivers of the United States bankruptcy are the international bankers via the United Nations, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund. All United States offices, officials, and departments are now operating within a de facto status in name only under emergency power. With the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, right? That's a claim that is dissolved, but all those people take their oath in their de facto status to the Constitution.
It's not a contradiction.
Exactly.
Therefore telling you what is the real thing, which is the Constitution. So they have to tie themselves to the real thing while operating on the thing.
So there's a way to make a claim within that, but it's, you know.
But what I'm saying again, that's the whole trickery that you're gonna have to. It's like UCC codes. You're getting
So
yourself.
you can't touch that.
You know, I'm saying you're getting yourself into madness again. Really, that's why it is really simple. That's the problem. We keep going. Sorry.
This new de facto status, with the constitutional Republican form of government now dissolved, the receivers of the bankruptcy have adopted a new form of government for the United States. This new form of government is known as a democracy, being an established socialist communist order under a new governor for America. Right? It's not a new governor for America, it's really a new governor for U.S. But they say America because they have to tie themselves to the land in order to have the quote-unquote credibility. Credibility. So in order to have the credibility, they have to tie themselves to the land. Because they don't have any land because Juali came in got the mandate, which gave them their authority to be here. Right? This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury, who they're sending whatever paperwork, UCC, whatever stuff to, in order to get this credit or to tie themselves in this credit account or whatever like that, so they can discharge debts or whatever. The office of the Secretary of the Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. This act was instituted and established by transferring and or placing the office of the Secretary of the Treasury to that of the Governor of the International Monetary Fund. The U.S. Secretary of the Treasury receives no compensation for representing the United States. The Secretary of the Treasury receives no compensation because there's no job called the Secretary of the Treasury anymore. So why pay him?
They're also saying what sealed the transferring of this corporation was them transferring the office to the governor.
To the governor.
To the governor. The same
Of the
governor.
IMF.
Exactly.
So what they're saying was the bankrupt corporation was then passed on to this next corporation. They're the ones funding it. Really, then they've taken out all the money and all the wealth, and that was done by the gold. Right?
Yeah,
So
The bank, the creditors of the bank.
Right. Which, if it's bankrupt, can't be credit. Yeah. You got no credit if you're bankrupt.
and then they took the credit away from
but the real
the people.
Right, by taking the
It's a
gold
person,
away.
it's-
Right.
They're the creditors, but now they're the debtors.
and that is when we were getting into this whole thing with secure creditor. We're the credit.
Yeah,
So
so
that-
we extend our credit.
Right. But the point is that they're not legitimate.
Yeah.
So what's going on is that it's really catch-22, right?
Question.
Yeah, I was asking for those for people who work. Do you guys pay federal taxes and that?
On the when you do the income tax form in the beginning of the job, right? What I do on the job is I fill out so they take out the least amount of tax, right? And then when they take out the least amount of tax, at the end of the year they're gonna send your T4, and then you send in for your taxes or whatever like that, and then they're gonna come back and tell you owe. Right? Which is really what the tax is. And then at that point, that's when you write your RICs or whatever and, challenge them on who they say that they are, etc. like that. I haven't paid from that perspective since I came on this thing.
So, do you get like a refund?
Never.
But you still pay?
Yeah.
If he paid that year. So,
No way.
okay,
No,
so
but
what
you
would happen
continue
was,
to pay
for him now,
talking about now.
they're taking the taxes out. Right?
Yeah.
So when he does his nationality, the next year he's gonna fill out so the least amount gets
Least
paid
amount,
out,
least amount.
right?
But why pay
they're-
the least amount? I should
Because they're the one that's paying you, so they're
Because
taking
they're
it out
paying
before
you,
it gets
you're
to
going
you.
to them.
Yeah, they're taking it out before you begin.
Like for
That's why we
example, he
keep
works
saying
for
to you-
himself, so he's not paying no tax.
Yeah,
so I get all the
I
tax,
understand
But
that.
that's where it's supposed to be at.
That's what we're trying
That's
to
why
say.
we're supposed to be
Yeah. Well, I was getting down to something with some other people where they were saying it shouldn't be a problem where you have to go to your work.
Yes,
or
but-
wherever
but
like that.
again,
But if you write to like the Refugee
Yeah.
Canada agency and notify them
But remember,
that you are you're a natural being.
Yeah, but okay. What I tell people is think about it from their position,
Yeah.
right? So I'm European. I'm giving you a job, right? You're coming to me and telling me that you're native or whatever like that. You're Aboriginal. You're more, so I can't charge you tax, right? That means I have to pay it because I'm the corporation. So yeah, you could work all you want. You know what I mean? I can give you all the hours that you need. You get your full check, no tax taken off. But somebody has to pay that tax for you working here. I have to pay it. Why am I hiring you for?
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna say, like, yeah.
So maybe,
I'll
so
just
take
go
out
find
the
a
least amount
Negro.
of taxes, yeah.
I'll just go find a Negro here and you know what I mean?
Yeah, basically he's saying someone has to pay the tax. So if you go in there saying that you can't charge, you can't take taxes off, he's like, yeah, you're right. You're not gonna work here. I'm gonna find someone else that can
No,
take taxes off.
I wasn't talking about, I wouldn't go to them.
No, I'm just saying in general. So what he's saying is he does it in a way where they take the least amount of taxes, and when they want to come back and take the rest at the end of the year, he sends them the writ. They gotta show proof who they are. They can't. So then there's no tax.
But here's the thing.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
The point that he's saying is that
I don't think I want to settle for that.
he's saying his point is he's going to circumnavigate the employer and go straight to the tax collector. Now, what I'm saying to you is you've got a point there, but ultimately the tax collector is going to go to the employer and say, you got a guy
strong arm the employer to get it from you.
So don't think you're going to be able to step around that. That's the whole point.
And you may get fired.
And if you don't want to settle for it, you gotta put yourself in a position where you own the business.
Yeah.
And just to interrupt what Kudu said before, remember, you're trying to attempt to do any of this. If this job or work that you're doing is supporting you, and you ain't on point with it, don't mess around with stuff.
Because then when you get let go or whatever like that, then you're blaming the white man did something to you and all that.
Or
stuff.
you're blaming
That's not
us,
really what it is.
or
Like,
you're blaming
you know
us
what I
for
mean?
telling you that.
You got to know how to navigate it.
Yeah,
Right?
I don't think
You know,
it's anybody.
like it's
but,
not,
like,
no, but I mean,
It's the
but just for,
logistics of what it is.
Yeah.
You go through the CRA,
you're gonna
go
deal
through
with
that
it,
way,
like,
they're gonna say to the employer, well, this employee is not paying taxes, we're gonna take it out of
Right.
you.
And then he's gonna let
And
you
then
go.
in turn, he's
Like,
gonna say, forget this, I'm not
Right.
paying anymore.
so for
Corporations
example,
never wanna pay taxes.
right,
Walmart
exactly.
is
Why
doing
would
business
they
in
want
here
to pay?
tax-free because they're Canadian Tire. Tim
Right.
Hortons are not Canadian corporations
Right,
anymore.
exactly.
They are now American corporations
Right.
because they did not want to pay taxes.
Right. Not in
But that wouldn't mean that Moors don't pay taxes.
Say that again?
That wouldn't mean that Moors don't.
Well, yeah, it does, because when I go to the store, I show my nationality card, I don't
Well,
pay
they don't
tax.
pay all the
That's just a part
taxes.
of
So,
the tax.
yeah, but I mean, you know,
They're
Part-
tax exempt in
You
certain
know, like I
matters.
said,
Choose your
part
matters.
and parcel.
And
I
then
mean,
remember
everything's
this,
not gonna happen in the first run.
and then remember this too, you keep
It's
looking
not gonna
at,
happen in the first run.
you keep looking again, like our Tariq was saying, about trying to get validation from the colonizer. Right, you keep saying that, okay, I shouldn't have to, I'm taxed non-abogee, but then you're looking to them to tell them not to tax you.
Right, or you're looking to them for a job. If we don't want to get taxed, how about don't work for them?
that's what I'm about to say. Like in that position,
Yeah.
Period. If we don't want to get taxed, how about don't work for
If
them?
that's where you're gonna bring it, then we all look to them for something. We
100%.
all look to them for
Most
something.
definitely.
They're providing electricity right
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
But it's our electricity,
If you want to
So what
get
happens
from
to,
point A to
like-
point B, you gotta go to their gas
To the gas,
station and
right,
get
so,
gas.
so-
so,
What?
but that's what I'm
We
saying.
depend on them for
So,
whatever.
but that's what I'm
We
saying.
still have to look to them.
Yeah, and
because of the
that's
system
what
that
the
we are
point.
in.
That's the
What I'm
point.
saying is that
That's the
we
point.
have to know the way how to be free and get rid of them.
Providing our own
Because I
electricity.
don't want to be a part of them nor their
Yeah, but
system.
you don't have no choice in the matter right now, because
Yeah,
we're
I
under
understand what you're
occupation.
saying.
We have no choice in the
If
matter.
he's saying you keep trying to look for these people for validation, that kind of argument. What I'm saying is that we have to look to them.
No, we're not saying,
They're providing the line
yeah,
that
but no,
we need
but
right
we're
now.
not, we're
So
not
what
saying,
else are we
yeah,
gonna
but
do?
we're not saying not look to them for things. We're saying validation.
No,
We're
we
not
keep
saying,
saying that, but
yes,
what
no,
I'm
but-
saying is
no, but
we
we're
still
saying
have to look to
validation.
them for certain things.
we're saying validation. We're saying don't look to them to justify that you're a Moor or that you have a right to do
I'm not
something.
doing
not
that.
to.
I'm not.
That's where he's going. We know we got a cell phone and all that stuff from them. Like it, you got internet from them.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I'm saying? Like
saying.
it is what it is.
I'm just trying to
But
get my
again,
way around.
Yeah, but again, we were already free and clear and had nothing to do with them. The issue isn't the European did something. The issue is our own sold us out why we're here having to get lights from them.
I know.
Why? Because, like, for example, right? Everybody knows a brother who works for Bell that'll get him cable for free.
Yeah.
Where did that cable come from? Did that come from them or did that come from the brother?
Yeah, it still came from them.
But did it? Because you got it for free, or you got to pay $100 and now you have free cable for a year. But
Oh,
it's
yeah,
not
but it's
really
being
coming
like
from
that.
them.
You know,
They
but-
look it up,
But
you know what I mean?
technically,
Like,
it's still
it's-
streamed out of
right?
their system, but, yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
you
saying?
can look at it now.
So it's
I think it's just about choosing your battle. So you're gonna be tax exempt in certain situations, but as per job, if you want to be tax exempt,
not
and
don't get
if
me
you're
wrong.
going to the CRA, it would depend on the employer, because your employer might be saying like, okay, whatever, I'm gonna pay the tax for employee, because he works well and I don't wanna lose him. But in the case there, that could be a consequence. But go through that way, to be totally tax exempt from the job, there's a consequence.
Right, we don't have,
They might let
Oh,
you
wait,
go.
wait.
our thing is we don't have them checkmated yet.
But once you start like your own business,
Right.
it's incorporated.
Right.
Can you not pay these taxes?
There's two friends.
I'm saying, I ain't paying them nothing.
No, you are not paying them. But
So,
what
yeah.
about
But
when they say, all right,
When they
Yeah,
come,
he's gonna have to have his rich
like
ready.
code, exactly, like code says, when they come telling me, yo, my company owes them this much, and I'm like code
Then
says,
they're gonna
put
hit
them
it
on,
up.
come on, I'm gonna hit them up saying, yo, you gotta prove that I owe you something. You know what I mean?
And they have to prove that.
They have to prove that,
And if they can't prove that, then you don't
I'll
want
see you
to.
next year. I'm telling you, yo, listen, my business is taking the money, and you know you have a little GST account,
Right.
your HST account, I haven't put a goddamn cent in there. You see what I'm saying? But I'm choosing that battle. So I'm waiting for them to send me that audit.
Right.
Or send me that, oh, I owe them this. So then I can
You
start
have
sending.
us.
Yeah, exactly. So I can start sending that paperwork. But if you want to get to a position where we're not paying them cash in the form of
so you
employment,
don't go like through the balance, right?
I cash my check and I take everything out.
Uh,
Because what they're gonna do is they're gonna try to
Yeah,
strong arm me and garnish it
yeah.
and freeze my account.
Yeah.
That account is on like, I got
And
$6 in there.
you
Or
use
use
Western Union. And you have to remember this too. The banks are in collusion with them. So
Exactly,
they-
too, yeah.
So you have to remember the whole system is corrupt.
Exactly.
Pick your battles.
Exactly.
Find your way through this. Study before you make any moves.
Exactly.
Only make the moves that you.
Yeah, I think
know
that's the
you can
most
afford.
important.
It's like going gambling.
Because I
I'm
don't
only
think
gonna
there's-
take my little
I don't
$20
think
out to
there's
gamble
ever
on this,
that get
because I can't gamble with my
Just
mortgage.
have to know how to do it.
Yeah, but
I'll use Western
Yeah.
Union.
we got
Western Union's
gotta
we're having issues with them too.
Yeah,
They're just another form of trying to tax you too.
It's not really that
No,
we
what
look into them for employment, because if they are here and this land is our land, then even if we were, say, with them, we should be paying any tax.
No,
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
They're
For sure. Yeah.
they're in our land.
But again,
So
but
it's
remember.
it's like this is my house then, and you move in here,
Yeah.
and you kick me out, and you put me in the basement.
Right, and then
And
we
then
charge you
I
rent.
start paying you rent.
Right.
And you start telling me that you cannot use the bathroom. That's
So
what-
that's
But it's not getting-
That's what you start upstairs to try and tell them something, and they kick you back down. So what the deal is, they have the authority to keep you, they have the strength to keep you downstairs. Until you want to change that, you better back off that way. That's the, so you got it dead on. They come into your house, they're charging you rent in your own house.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right, but if you don't want to be out on the street right now, because they got a couple of goons up there, dogs,
Yeah.
you're just gonna do what you can
Yeah.
do. And if you can
You
find
deal with
angles,
the basement.
and if you
You know
can
what I
get,
mean?
and
You deal with the
if you
basement
can get
for
some
all
rainwater,
time.
and you can do all that kind of
It's
stuff,
not
that's what
negative.
you do.
You know what I mean? It's not negative. Just recognize.
But guess
it
what,
and understand.
but that's right. The most important point is knowing exactly where you're at.
What to do,
So,
yeah.
no, you have to know exactly where you're at. Most of the time, we didn't know where we're at. We thought we were black, we grow color. We know that we're Moors, we know that we've been subjugated. Now we move from there. A certain limited rights with the karma that they know that they have to watch out for too.
And a term also too to look at it too is we're living in a place of flip sovereignty. We're living in a place of sovereignty not fully blossomed out, right? An example was when you don't want the bird flying around the house, you clip the wings so it can't fly. That's what they did to our sovereignty. So we can't exercise it fully, because if we exercise sovereignty fully, then they gotta go back to Europe, or they gotta acknowledge every time that we step up, they gotta acknowledge, oh yeah, sorry, we didn't mean to do whatever, we came to stole your land, you know what I mean, sorry, you can do whatever it is that you want, and then they go back into the shadows until another more comes up, and then they come out the shadows, and oh yeah, sorry, we're just letting you go, and then they go back in the shadows. And other than that, they're dealing with Negro black colored people, right, who don't have no knowledge of birthrights or whatever like that, so they can rape and do whatever it is that they want to them. But as soon as the Moor steps up, they're going in the shadows. They don't want to talk to Moor. They want to deal with Moor. And then that's where we want to get into, on the level of, we're up there, we got our own plates, They see our stuff, whether I ran red light, U-turn, ran stop sign, whatever, they're not even looking at us because they know, oh, those are the guys with the plates, they sue people, they look, all right, we don't want to deal with them.
You have those plates?
We're working on that.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
There's paperwork that
alleviate,
goes with
yeah,
those.
to alleviate the issues that we have of, you know, having to go to
Because
them.
we're dealing with incompetent people too, like all those people we're dealing with don't know anything that they're doing.
They're trained.
They're just incompetent and it takes one after the other, like you were saying, you had to be brought to a different courtroom other than a bail because they can't deal with you in the manner that they're dealing with the artificial corporation.
Exactly, and even if they don't want to show you that respect, they like subconsciously they do it anyway. Because to protect themselves, they got to show you the respect. You see what I'm saying? So it's like your empress is saying, it is knowing and finding out when to fight a certain battle and not getting yourself too far ahead of yourself, and you end up causing yourself pain. You know what I mean? You end up causing yourself injury because you weren't ready for it.
Unneeded too.
Well, one of the things I look at, like this knowledge has been coming from so far, like 100 years back, and I'm saying, how come we're still here?
Sellouts.
Yeah,
That's what our own let us know. I think we're selling the
like these things like the plates, these things should have been in place.
And that's the thing.
People that are using them,
These are things that
We're
were in place.
102 years ago.
These are things that were in place already. Because remember, 1913, they never had no plates on nobody.
Yeah,
no plates, none of that. No insurance, nothing. No mortgages. You know what I mean?
Like as the Fed Bank, after they signed in 1933, they had everybody turn into
Everything turned into
this is when they slowly started changing. Okay, now the vehicles that are driving to make money.
Well,
Well, we can turn the regular travelers into regular drivers into this too. We can get them all
we
fine.
weren't cognizant. We didn't
Yeah.
understand what was going
People
on.
just blindly,
Follow
because
it.
people just like apparently the lines were huge and they just brought their gold. They didn't know any better. They were just empty.
But they're still doing that right now because when you look at cash memos and all.
Well, that's right. Those are the agents that we
Yeah.
put out there. If you don't know
Colleague.
they're connected. And they're saying, bring your gold in. We'll
Yeah.
give you cash.
Those are
We'll
the-
give you nothing.
Yeah,
For your gold, nothing.
And then people go. And then people go. Not that they're doing that, but people go.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing in return.
We gotta close up. I just wanna touch
We also
last
prepare
couple
food,
questions.
so
Last couple
everybody
questions.
can- everybody can free. Free stuff, free chickpeas and rice, so. Downstairs.
All right, question, when you put the averment of jurisdiction into the courts, can they adjudicate regardless of what you have submitted and have put on the record? Most of the time, yes, but just like the concept with the plates, if you submit paperwork and it says Moors on it, or it has a flag on it that's not tied to Canada or U.S. or whatever like that, they don't have jurisdiction. They're supposed to dismiss. If they see that you have plates that's not Ontario or whatever, they're not supposed to stop you. That's what it's supposed to be. Is it going to be that? Probably not, because they're colonists, they're occupiers. They're going to do whatever it is that they have to do to make sure that they keep us black, Negro colored, proper.
Right? Okay, the dollar bill, right? The American dollar bill that you showed me today. What is that? What does that indicate with the two seals? The two seals.
So that we go first, we come back.
No, but what is that too? What is another word for calling it? Isn't it a contract between two nations?
Yeah.
Okay then.
But the ego, those aren't the same people that set that up. The people who we're looking at now that say that they're United States, they remember we read the James Trafficant thing. They're not the ego.
What you're
Those are some people
you're looking at a bunch of criminals who came in and murdered the people by one way or
Who made the contract.
or made the, and then
Yeah.
stepped up
And
in
then
there.
stepped in, and now they're
then
pretenders
still
like
carrying
they-
on, making money, everyone to just do everything in profit. But then what he's telling you also is that the government, the very state that you want the republic. He's telling you that too, right? So all of it's there, right? They told you that that's tax. You just have to acknowledge it now.
But I was just saying, like that this American dollar bill, right?
is just kind of like it's something that we should embed in our mind that it's like we have a we have a contract. But
Yeah, but they're saying
that's not them. But they took it into themselves, and our ancestors did give them, you know, a mandate for them to do business over here.
Yeah,
so even though they're criminals,
the mandate's been up since 2004.
Okay, but that's a memorandum right there.
Well, I mean, again, like if we're looking at presenting that so that they can say, oh, you guys found out that we're the...
No, it's not presenting, but there is, because we are the forefathers, and you know, we are the ones who created law.
Right.
So how could we forget law if we're the ones that created law? If there's a legal procedures or a lawful due process of law of us doing things, maybe
we have to bring them into our courthouse, hold them responsible. You know what I'm saying?
And then on a level, you can't even do that, because if we have a Moors court, that's for Moors.
Yeah,
just like if we see their court.
Yeah.
We're not trying to be in there.
Exactly.
Because that's not our venue.
And the next thing too, you're missing too is even before that contract, the main contract, that's still being the contract that's all in it. Look at the Constitution is the original contract. And that supersedes all that. Even the dollar bill is a fraud. Gold and silver.
That's the real money.
Yeah,
So that was just a certificate. So you're still dealing with corporate law. You're dealing with that certificate. You're looking at holding them to the Constitution, which is where all of the violations that have to happen. The Constitution, not on that dollar bill.
No, I know, but everything's symbolic too, right? Like, you know, we
but see, that's the thing. Like,
stuff like that, right?
But we can't. Even though this is divine and national, right? We don't want to get into the thing of looking at, we see something symbolic and then try to use that in the national arena to try to prove to them, well, you see, well, there's symbols on here. And then
no, I wouldn't do that.
Whatever. It's a separate thing.
No, I'm not saying that. It's just that.
Separate thing.
It's just like
that should be validation. That should just be
validation.
That's validation to yourself, right? And that shows that there's something that needs to still be done when you're in those courts. Something needs to be done in order, but you know, they should recognize it right away.
I just want to give you the thing again for the principles of love. It's more about validation.
Yes.
Remember, just the language. You keep talking about the language. Your language is still about trying to put something to them. And I'm just telling you that I think you do yourself the best service if you start turning that inwards, looking at how you're gonna. Because as I said, your level is already that much advanced. And what's happening is you're getting yourself into trouble because that's where they want you. They want you dealing with UCC code. They want you dealing with all that stuff. No, right? Right. So what do you want?
There's salad here.
You know, I'm never going to.
I don't even know their number. Question 2. If they agree to trial by judge and jury of my own national peers, what is the outcome on the day of the trial? Do they bring a bunch of dark people, or what do they do? That only happens in Supreme Court. So if you're not in court, don't think that there's going to be trial with jury of your own peers and all that stuff. But we already know the only thing on that side of the court is prisoners box. And it's not going down like that.
Well, what you know is even when you hire one of their bounty men, you always supposedly have the ability to elect trial by jury. Because they have all made handshake. Right. Your lawyer is always telling you it's just judge. Right. Because that's when the not the corruption, that's when the fix is in. Right.
Third question. I went to Home Depot to buy some material for drywall taping, and my family was being ignorant of the fact that he doesn't care to pay taxes. When we were checking out, I enforced what the prophet brought us, and we got taxes completely off all of our material. But my family was still ignorant to his own nationality and birthright. Why is this? It doesn't make sense. How come I gravitate toward this more so quickly? And then that goes back to what Omar was saying in the beginning, is that Noah already told the Moors that those Moors who are with him back then are with him today. And the Moors who are with Noble Drew Ali still, they're going to reap the benefits of this nationality birthright demonstration in ways like that. You know, go to court, you know, get your stuff in. Go to judge, whatever like that, give you some keys, let you know whatever. You know, not pay taxes. They will get stopped on the road and, you know, you give a license, doing something illegal, and they still give you the pass or whatever like that. Don't argue or whatever, right? Yeah. So, don't necessarily wait for them, like we were saying, you know what I mean? This is people's birthright. If they want it, they'll pick it up. If they don't want it, you know, they won't. You know, and it's just like what we say, you know, power of thought is a serious thing. You get what you ask for, but you also get what you don't ask for. So be careful what you ask for, because, you know what I mean? At this day and time, anything could manifest right now if you put it on there. You make a mistake and say the wrong thing, and something fall off the roof on you or whatever. You know what I mean? So we just get the close out. We want to say big thanks to everybody for being here. Thanks for our time online for joining in. We'll just close out with a prayer and get to this food. This is easy. All right. Father on the left, two on the right. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation. By night and by day, His holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Ashe. Allah. Let's push the recording in. Yeah.